It was the second day of the second month of the lunar calendar, a suitable day for traveling out. The rain pelted down relentlessly. As it struck the ground, it released the crisp scent from the damp earth. As it entered the lakes, it sent ripples pulsating across the water surface. As it drenched the heads of passers-by, it incited them to cuss under their breaths. Who said that today is a suitable day for traveling out? The rain started pouring right as I stepped out of the door. Lu Yang grumbled, regretting not preparing a straw raincoat beforehand. It was Lu Yang's first time setting off on a faraway journey. The rain had sprung a surprise attack on him, soaking him from head to toe. He felt like the earth was playing a cruel joke on him. Every step he took with his mud-caked shoes, he had to pull his feet out from the soggy morass. Just then, the clip-clop sound of hooves from behind caught Lu Yang's attention. Turning his head around, he noticed a horse-drawn carriage approaching. There was no coachman, yet the old horse seemed to know the way. What a remarkable horse! Lu Yang marveled. The few snake-like scales on the old horse's forehead showed that it was a demon beast of an aberrant breed. He couldn't tell the price of such a horse, but however much it was, he knew he couldn't afford it. "Hey, brother, enjoying a stroll in the rain? How refined of you!" A man inside the carriage teased lightheartedly. "Would you like to take a seat inside the carriage?" Accepting the man's timely invitation, Lu Yang dragged his legs from the mire once more and hoisted himself into the refuge of the carriage. "Sorry to intrude. My name is Lu Yang." Lu Yang gingerly found a place to sit, afraid that the rainwater and mud clinging to him would soil the interior of the carriage. "The name's Meng Jingzhou." The man's voice betrayed a carefree and personable demeanor, as if he could strike up a conversation with anyone. "Brother Lu, are you also here to participate in the Dao-Seeking Sect's selection trials?" "Just trying my luck." Meng Jingzhou laughed heartily. "Brother Lu, there's no harm in being more candid. If you were really just trying your luck, you wouldn't be trudging through the rain to get there." Lu Yang abashedly admitted. "Who doesn't want to join the Dao-Seeking Sect?" The Dao-Seeking Sect was one of the Central Continent's 5 great immortal sects, which were renowned for their countless formidable cultivators. As the Dao-Seeking Sect was recruiting disciples today, Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou were merely 2 of the numerous aspiring candidates who flocked to the venue for a chance to be recruited. Lu Yang had transmigrated to the Central Continent, and his parents in this world had passed away at an early age. It was only with the remaining morsel of their inheritance and the assistance from the neighborhood that he managed to scrape by. During the decade he spent in his small town, he had heard the storyteller narrate tales of immortals with swords ascending to the heavens, disastrous floods caused by river demons turning around from 500 li away, as well as accounts of immortal sect disciples exterminating demons and devils, upholding justice with their flying swords. He had also witnessed unkempt Taoist priest scammers leaping into the sky and breaking out of prison, only to be captured again by officials who could similarly fly into the air. It thus dawned upon Lu Yang that this was no longer the world he was familiar with nor any of the historic dynasties he had recollection of. This was a world where people could cultivate and individuals could amass immense power. Since he wanted to seek the Tao and master the immortal arts of longevity, the Dao-Seeking Sect was his first choice. There was one reason for selecting it: the Dao-Seeking Sect was the only sect in the vicinity. With the Dao-Seeking Sect established here, other cultivators wouldn't sabotage themselves by deciding to set up a sect nearby. Through his conversation with Meng Jingzhou, Lu Yang learned that Meng Jingzhou hailed from an ancestral cultivation clan and was much more knowledgeable in the subject of cultivation. The disciples that the Dao-Seeking Sect is seeking are mortals not older than 16, and most other sects have a similar requirement. The journey of cultivation is not only fraught with obstacles but also arduous and unending. Between every stage from chi training, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, divine transfiguration, void refinement, fusion to transcendent tribulation, lies a watershed that thwarts innumerable people. Only 1 in 10 advances, then 1 in 20, until perhaps only 1 in 100 can make any headway. There are many factors that affect one's achievements in cultivation, such as their luck, wisdom, and type of spirit root. Although the Dao-Seeking Sect doesn't hold high requirements for one's spirit root, they wouldn't want to accept a spirit root that is overly abysmal. By the way, Brother Lu, do you know what kind of spirit root you have? Lu Yang furrowed his brow. He had only come to know of the term spirit root from the storyteller, and he was unaware of which spirit root he had. I don't know. What about you, Brother Meng? Meng Jingzhou's visage grew visibly perplexed as he shook his head. I once tested for my spirit root in the clan, but the clan elders had worry scribbled all across their faces. They were unwilling to tell me the results, only claiming that my talent was astoundingly exceptional. They assured me that there would be no problems joining any of the 5 great sects, and they added that I would naturally find out when I become a disciple in the future. I secretly asked my parents, but their reactions were even more extreme than the clan elders. Lu Yang deduced. Could it be that your spirit root is too out of this world and may bring disaster to the Meng family? Only a prodigious organization such as the Dao-Seeking Sect can protect you. My thoughts exactly. Meng Jingzhou clapped Lu Yang on the shoulders, as if he had met his kindred spirit. The more he gazed at Lu Yang, the more he felt that Lu Yang was an innately brilliant soul destined for cultivation, just like himself. Outside, the sound of the torrential rain only grew harsher, so Lu Yang was thankful that Meng Jingzhou had lent him a seat aboard the carriage. Stop! Meng Jingzhou suddenly called out. The old horse continued on for a few more steps before gradually coming to a halt. As a magical treasure, the horse carriage allowed Meng Jingzhou to catch sight of a woman walking in the rain outside, much like Lu Yang had just a while ago. Hello, miss. Judging by the direction you're walking in, I assume that you are also heading to the Dao-Seeking Sect to participate in the selection trials? Since it's raining, would you like to join us in the carriage? The woman seemed slightly surprised by Meng Jingzhou's suggestion, but she agreed after giving it a brief thought. The moment she got on the carriage, however, Meng Jingzhou and Lu Yang were left dumbfounded. Despite priding himself on his extensive life experience, even Meng Jingzhou found the woman before him to be the most beautiful he had ever laid eyes upon, not to mention Lu Yang. The most attractive woman the latter had ever seen was the tofu-selling young widow next door. Naturally, Lu Yang was a proper gentleman and bore no indecorous thoughts toward her. Amidst the muck and rain, the slender white-robed woman bloomed like a captivating yet unsullied lotus flower. Her scintillating eyes and pearly teeth radiated an energy that could almost draw people into another world, and a bracelet strung with golden bells adorned her right wrist. Thank you both. My name is Yun Zhi. Her soothing voice flowed like a spring. Suddenly, Lu Yang noticed something amiss and whispered, Brother Meng, why is she dry? Could she actually be a demon? The stories recounted by the storytellers often weaved in cases of demons transforming into beautiful women to lure in young, sturdy men like them. In contrast to the soaking wet and wretched Lu Yang, there was not a single drop of water on Yun Zhi, the last thing one would expect from a person who had just walked through the rain. Brushing it off, Meng Jingzhou quickly found an explanation. Perhaps she is carrying a magical treasure that can repel the rain. Those are fairly common in ancestral clans. The possibility that Yun Zhi might be a demon or monster was not on Meng Jingzhou's list of concerns. After all, this is the Dao-Seeking Sect's territory. Which demon is out of their mind to stir up a ruckus here? Miss Yun Zhi, are you here to participate in the Dao-Seeking Sect's selection trials? That's right. Meng Jingzhou eagerly pressed on. I happen to have the contents of the Dao-Seeking Sect's exam with me. This was bought from a Dao-Seeking Sect elder at an exorbitant price. Miss Yun Zhi, would you like to hear it? Lu Yang's flabbergasted eyes were glued to Meng Jingzhou. Why didn't you tell me? Yun Zhi was even more stupefied. This is cheating. If the Dao-Seeking Sect finds out, brimming with confidence, Meng Jingzhou dismissed it with a wave of his hand. This carriage of mine is a magical treasure. Even those formidable cultivators and old fogies living remotely wouldn't be able to detect this place with their spiritual consciousness. I see. Please share the details of the exam. Then, Sir Meng. Lu Yang's ears pricked up at that. Clearing his throat, Meng Jingzhou began. There are altogether 3 rounds to the Dao-Seeking Sect's tests. The first round is a spirit root test, which is highly inflexible, eliminating all possibilities of taking shortcuts. The second and third rounds are where there is some room for manipulation. The second round tests one's character. A carriage has lost control, and it is speeding straight at 5 people lying beside the road. If a collision occurs, it will result in the certain demise of these 5 people. However, another person is lying nearby as well. As an outsider, we can control the direction of the carriage. You can either choose to not interfere and doom 5 people or alter the direction and kill the other person. What would you do? Lu Yong didn't even pause. Kill the other person. Meng Jingzhou was extremely astonished. Ever since he discovered the second round's topic, he had yet to come up with a solution. How did Lu Yong make his decision right away? If we choose to ignore the situation, we have to watch on as 5 people get killed. That is a hurdle our conscience must overcome. On the other hand, if we choose to switch direction and crash into the other person, not only is that person unlucky, but their death is also a result of our own actions. When Meng Jingzhou voiced his doubts, Lu Yong expounded, "How can there be so much time for you to philosophize? By the time you reach a conclusion, the 5 people would have long been crushed. I am guessing that Dao-Seeking Sect's goal is not to force us to make a choice between saving 5 people or 1 person, but to see whether we can make a decision rapidly. I heard from the storytellers that even the most minuscule discrepancy can make a difference between life and death during battles among cultivators. The second round assesses our character, whether we are indecisive or firm. Settling on a decision in the shortest time possible is a pivotal quality for cultivators. Meng Jingzhou felt as if he had seen the light. The third round is putting one's honesty to the test. There is a mirror in the Dao-Seeking Sect that can ascertain whether your words are true or false. If it detects that you are lying, you will be disqualified immediately. Lu Yong pondered for a bit. This round is simple. Without a reminder beforehand, it could be easy to fall into the trap of lying to cover ourselves up. Now that we have been warned, we just have to speak the truth. Meng Jingzhou nodded in agreement. The two continued their fervent discussion for a while longer, proposing various hypotheticals and their respective mitigation measures. They finally surmised that their overall plan was flawless. Miss Yun Zhi revealed a hint of a smile, as if acknowledging that the 2 young men's plan was sublime. Much thanks for sharing, young hero Lu. Lu Yong peeked his head out of the window. Oh, the rain has stopped? The pitter-patter sound of the rain had vanished. In the area they had just passed by, it was still raining cats and dogs. But where they were now, it was all sunshine and rainbows. It felt like an unparalleled sword chi had cleanly cleaved the world into eternal halves. Lifting his head, Lu Yong saw a multitude of mystical beasts and immortal magic devices heading straight for the towering mountain that seemed to pierce the sky. The lofty mountain was glazed with a layer of golden sunlight. What looked like elegant decorative patterns enveloped the mountain, shielding it from the downpour. That was the Dao-Seeking Sect's mountain gateway, and looming over it was the impenetrable Great Sect Defense Array. Out of respect to the Dao-Seeking Sect, cultivation prospects landed at the bottom of the mountain under the guidance of their family elders and waited for the trials to commence. The old horse was a rather rare aberrant demon beast, but it still paled in comparison to the other magnificent beasts stopping at the foot of the mountain. Meng Jingzhou rubbed his hands nervously. Dang, this is so much more grand than our Meng family's estate. Nonetheless, the thought of soon passing the examinations and becoming a member of the Dao-Seeking Sect was sufficient to pump adrenaline through his veins. Lu Yong made no comment. The mountain was visible from his home, but he didn't think much of it because it was simply too far away. Now that he was standing right at the foot of the mountain, its sheer scale finally registered in his brain. It was becoming slightly nerve-wracking for him. Although he had ideas in mind for the second and third rounds, he was still clueless about his spirit route. What if I can't even pass the first round? Dozens of cultivators stood in midair to guard the mountain, emanating powerful aura waves. Lu Yong suspected that if they released their full-blown aura waves, hardly anyone would be left standing. As the cultivators did not utter a single word, their presence only exerted a mounting pressure on those present. Lu Yong could hear a senior clan member providing a cursory orientation to a junior member of the same clan. Judging by the style of the Taoist robes, you can tell that they are core disciples, those who are under the tutelage of the various elders, and also your future fellow brothers and sisters. You don't have to be nervous. They are not deliberately trying to intimidate you. It seems like they are waiting for the person leading this exam. The trials will begin once the host arrives. Lu Yang turned around, wanting to check if Yun Zhi was excited or anxious. There's no way she doesn't care, right? Miss Yun Zhi, you. Before Lu Yang could finish his sentence, Yun Zhi had already ambled away. A white lotus flower appeared beneath her feet in sync with every step through the air, accentuating her delicate frame. An uproar erupted among the crowd, prompting the senior clan members to shush their juniors as beads of cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. The suspended trail of white lotus flowers ended right in the middle of Dao-Seeking Sect's core disciples, who bowed deferentially at Yun Zhi. Turning toward the crowd, Yun Zhi's lips curved into a smile. Apologies for the long wait, everyone. I am the Dao-Seeking Sect's big senior sister, the host of today's selection trials. I hereby announce the commencement of the trials. Yun Zhi didn't forget to sneak a knowing smile at the gaping Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou. I am indeed here to participate in the Dao-Seeking Sect selection trials, but I never said I was a candidate. I'm an examiner. Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou had only one thought remaining in their heads. It's over. I can't believe that we actually discussed how to cheat in front of the examiner. Yun Zhi did not cast them a second glance, as if she was oblivious to their plans to cheat. Instead, she proceeded to organize the trials, where it became apparent that she held significant authority among the Dao-Seeking Sect's disciples. They would comply with her commands without question, regardless of whether they were geniuses, idolized, or omnipotent figures with strong backing outside of the sect. The spirit root is the first hurdle on the journey to immortality. If your spirit root is inadequate, you won't be able to go far in your cultivation, no matter how many resources are poured in. For the first round, everyone will line up to have their spirit root tested. Those who have no confidence in their spirit root may choose to leave now. No one left. Most who came to attend the Dao-Seeking Sect's examinations were already aware of their own spirit roots. Rarely were there people like Lu Yang who had come to try their luck just because it was close to home. The purpose of this round was to prevent those with unsuitable spirit roots from sneaking into the Dao-Seeking Sect. A massive, conspicuous spirit root stone was the conventional spirit root testing method. However, the empty space ahead signaled that the Dao-Seeking Sect did things differently. A Dao-Seeking Sect disciple, Dai Bufan, was sitting right at the front. Living up to his extraordinary name, he practiced a unique cultivation technique. By sending his spirit energy into someone else's body, he could immediately determine their spirit root, cultivation techniques, and even where their weak points were. In combat, he was like a fish in water. Like a seasoned physician, all it took for Dai Bufan was to place 2 fingers on the other person's wrist to ascertain their spirit root. Metal water fire triple spirit root? Passable. You can go over there. Water fire dual spirit root? Not bad. Water wood dual spirit root. Your foundation was previously impaired, likely due to the major injury you had when you were 12 years old. Normally, this would result in hidden side effects, but your time wasn't meant to be up then. You encountered a benevolent expert with superb medical skills. Not only did he cure you, he even restored your foundation. The candidate was astounded. He is right on the money. My mother passed away when I was 12, and my stepmother took the reins of the household. Worried that I would threaten her son's position, she plotted to harm me, causing me to enter a coma. As luck would have it, I was completely fine when I came to. My father then told me that an expert had passed by and saved me, but he didn't leave his name behind. After the candidate walked away, the Dao-Seeking Sect disciples thronged to congratulate Dai Bufan. All you did was take his pulse, and you could already deduce everything like you were there in person. Congratulations for attaining new heights in your cultivation. Senior brother Dai Bufan lightly remarked. Oh, that was nothing. The expert was me. I was in a rush then, so I forgot to tell them my name before I left. Everyone didn't know how to respond to that. Before the disciple could say anything else, Dai Bufan was already waving his hand at the next candidate. 18 is past the age requirements. You may leave. Next. Under the lead of a senior monk, A rather adorable junior monk went up to Dai Bufan and gave him a proper bow. Dai Bufan only took a glance before pushing the junior monk back to the senior monk. What is a novice monk from the Hanging Monastery doing here? Your body bears an imprint of the Hanging Monastery abbot. Shoo shoo. Return to your monastery. Lu Yong softly asked Meng Jingzhou. If I recall correctly, the Hanging Monastery is one of the 5 great immortal sects? Meng Jingzhou nodded, explaining in a serious manner, out of all 5 sects, the Hanging Monastery has the fewest disciples by far. There was even a time when there was only an abbot and a disciple. Even when there are more members, the total count wouldn't exceed 10 people. Since this junior monk has become their disciple before even cultivating, it's clear that he has a profound Buddha nature. Meng Jingzhou studied the little novice monk, who was being led away by his senior brother. I used to think that I would be in a league of my own and proudly overlook the rest in the cultivation world. I didn't expect that there could still be a worthy opponent. Lu Yong had no clue where Meng Jingzhou's unbridled confidence stemmed from. Aren't you worried at all about Miss Yun Zhi kicking us out? What is there to be scared of? Haven't you seen how all the novels go? A big sect is blind to the talent of the genius young boy and instead frames him, kicking him out of the sect. Spurred on by the humiliation, the genius young boy resolves to work hard. Along the way, he runs into a never-ending series of fortuitous encounters. In the end, he surprises everyone as he suddenly soars right to the apex and becomes someone the big sect looks up to. Lu Yong contemplated for a while before reminding him, but it doesn't seem like Miss Yun Zhi needs to frame us. That makes sense. And thus, Meng Jingzhou also started to panic. The energy in your body flows ceaselessly and freely. Looking at your attire, you don't seem to be from an ancestral cultivator clan. Could you have consumed a Qingmu immortal fruit by chance before? You passed, go over there. Dai Bufan then placed his fingers on a tall, burly man with bronze skin, and his eyes glimmered. Oh, your constitution is quite interesting. It has been a long time since I last came across the bloodline of the ancient barbaric tribe. The burly man had a shining bald head, and even his skin was reflecting the sunlight. Based on his appearance, it wouldn't be a stretch for people to assume that he is 25 or 26 years old. However, since Dai Bufan didn't mention anything, it means that he is not older than 16. Lu Yong only had one comment: he has grown really well. The news stirred a slight commotion among the crowd. The ancient barbarians were famous for being so strong that they could uproot mountains, drain rivers, and almost swallow the sun and the moon. After flourishing to their peak, however, they eventually faded into the river of time. It had been a long time since someone of the ancient barbarian tribe bloodline appeared in the central continent. Everyone had thought that the bloodline had vanished, but this belief was shattered with the sudden presence of a person from the bloodline at the Dao-Seeking Sect's trials. Dai Bufan yawned. I have already checked through half of the candidates. Why is there still not a single spirit root in sight? Could they all have been snatched away by the other sects? Meng Jingzhou stepped forward with confidence. Although Dai Bufan didn't have high hopes, the moment his index finger touched Meng Jingzhou's wrist, his eyes widened, and he sprang up from his seat. It is actually a single. Chatters immediately broke out in the crowd. A single spirit root. A single spirit root signified that overcoming the bottlenecks at every cultivation stage would be far easier. These people were destined to become great immortal cultivators. If they entered the imperial court, they could occupy esteemed positions. Beyond that, they could even dominate a territory and declare themselves kings. The people's gazes were burning into Meng Jingzhou. Forging connections with this kind of personage will bring nothing but benefits. The older generation hastily exhorted the younger generation to build a favorable relationship with Meng Jingzhou after entering the Dao-Seeking Sect. The Meng family, single spirit root, Dao-Seeking Sect disciple. With these 3 things combined in one person, there is no doubt that he will become an influential member of the Dao-Seeking Sect and a formidable cultivator whose name will go down in the annals of history. It's a single spirit root, Dai Bufan clarified. The crowd stilled. Rage exploded within Meng Jingzhou. What the hell is a single spirit root? Does that mean that I will be single for my whole life? Meng Jingzhou slammed the table, his green veins bulging. Don't try to deceive me just because I'm not knowledgeable. An ethereal, fairy-like voice intervened. Junior brother Dai, don't tease others. Yun Zhi emerged from the mist and glared at Dai Bufan. The latter guiltily shrank back. Only then did Meng Jingzhou slightly regain his composure. That's right, it must be Dai Bufan fooling me. Yun Zhi explained to Meng Jingzhou. However, junior brother Dai didn't lie to you either. You indeed have a single spirit root, which is the scholarly name. It's just that everyone in the cultivation world is more used to calling it by its common name, pure yang spirit root. Meng Jingzhou. He finally understood why his clan elders and parents kept the name of his spirit root from him. I will naturally find out when I arrive at the 5 great immortal sects. Bullshit. You were just too embarrassed to tell me. No wonder my parents asked me whether I wanted a younger brother or sister after I was done testing for my spirit root. The pure yang spirit root is a variant single spirit root of such extreme and unyielding yang nature that it is the bane of ghosts and monsters. Preserve the pure yang constitution and your cultivation will ascend by 1,000 li. Disrupt the pure yang constitution and your cultivation will plummet by 1,000 li. Why does the common name sound more like a scholarly name than the actual scholarly name? Lu Yang quietly retorted from the back. Because the first predecessor with a pure yang spirit root called their spirit root singles spirit root. With Yun Zhi's unfathomable cultivation level, Lu Yang's soft murmur was no different from speaking right into her ear. Yun Zhi paused, then continued, the cultivation world has a custom of respecting predecessors who are single. It was as if she thought that adding this one sentence would make it more convincing. Naturally, Meng Jingzhou passed the first round. It was now Lu Yang's turn. Another single spirit root. Dai Bufan's pupils constricted. I was just complaining a moment ago that I hadn't encountered any single spirit roots even after half the day was gone. And now, not just one but 2 have appeared together. Me? I have a single spirit root? Lu Yang pointed at himself, his heart thumping against his chest. It felt like he was hallucinating, but the corners of his mouth involuntarily rose upward. That's right, you have a variant single spirit root, the sword spirit root. Dai Bufan nodded. Not once have I made a mistake in distinguishing one spirit root. Sword spirit root, born for the sword, unparalleled in sharpness and supreme in attack power. Yun Zhi darted a surprised look at Lu Yang. I agreed to board the carriage on a whim. I didn't expect that both people in that one carriage would be top-tier cultivation geniuses. The crowd's eyes grew increasingly fervent as they began to ponder about the girls they knew who were of a suitable age for Lu Yang, wishing to sweep him away to marry into their clans and factions. Contrary to Meng Jingzhou, who was backed by the Meng family, Lu Yang was evidently a commoner with no backers, exceptional talent and no allegiance. He is practically the perfect candidate for marrying into the family. Most importantly, he can get married and have children. Sensing the strange gazes from the crowd, Lu Yang swiftly proceeded to the second round. Behind Dai Bufan was a bamboo forest, the venue for the second round. Meng Jingzhou eagerly asked Lu Yang, how did it go? What is your spirit root? Meng Jingzhou had quickly resigned himself to his fate. So what if I have a single spirit root? The path to becoming an immortal is littered with bones, and women are simply rogue bones. Even the most beautiful woman would turn into a pile of bones one day. Beautiful fairy-like women left and right? I don't need that. As for Lu Yang, I guess he can pass the first round, but how many geniuses can there be in a single batch? Since I'm here, it means he probably just has a dual spirit root. As an unparalleled genius with a single spirit root, I have an obligation to show care and concern to mediocre geniuses. Sword spirit root. Your grandmother's spirit root. What? Lu Yang was flummoxed. A few hours went by again. Dai Bufan continued to eliminate the people whose spirit root did not meet the requirements, while those who passed moved on to the second round. Overhearing some of the discussions from the people behind, it appeared that there were a few more candidates with special constitutions. Before they could ask around, however, Yun Zhi once again stood before everyone and casually commented, the second round will begin now. Then, She immediately vanished, leaving the crowd bewildered. Thick fog gradually rose from the ground as if it was a coalescence of smoke and waves. As vast as the oceans, it cast a veil over the whole of the bamboo forest. Everyone instinctively tried to struggle, but to no avail. Strength trickled away from their body as their consciousness began to fade. The illusionary bamboo forest was part of the Great Sect defense array, and its effects were not something these people could resist. Randomly drawing a circle with her hand, Yun Zhi dispersed the fog to make some space, revealing the other Dao-Seeking Sect disciples standing behind her. Dai Bufan giggled. Once they are trapped in the illusionary bamboo forest, they will forget everything, including their identities and the trials. This means that they will respond with their most honest reactions. I wonder how many people can pass the second round. Yun Zhi remarked, I hope more people will pass this round. There are several promising candidates in this batch. It would be a pity for them to fail in the second round. She hadn't kicked Meng Jingzhou and Lu Yang out of the trials because the examination questions Meng Jingzhou obtained weren't for the ongoing trial, but rather the one 10 years ago. Yun Zhi mumbled, I wonder which elder sold it to him. Turning to Dai Bufan, she asked, Junior brother Dai, who do you think will pass the second round? Of course, it's that guy with the ancient barbarian tribe bloodline. They are known for being pure-hearted, so there is no need to doubt his nature. Those two with the single spirit root and sword spirit root also seem decent. You can tell at one glance that they are honest people. Yun Zhi was instantly reminded of the scene where Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou plotted their cheating scheme. I just can't seem to match the expression honest people with the two of them. Where am I? The burly man from the ancient barbarian tribe was called Mangu. His name meant barbaric nature, which bore the same term as his bloodlines. He scanned his surroundings in bafflement, having completely forgotten what had transpired a while ago. He was standing beside a picturesquely shimmering river, and in his hand was a worn-out axe. Suddenly, the old axe slipped from his hand and fell into the small river. Mangu was just about to retrieve it when he noticed the river's surface bubbling. The size of the bubbles expanded until a fountain of water gushed out, and a celestial-like figure appeared with 3 different axes floating in front of it. Young man, I am the river spirit. Which axe did you drop inside the water just now? This worn-out axe, this mountain-splitting axe, which is a spirit artifact, or this heaven-splitting axe, which is an immortal artifact? The mountain-splitting axe and the heaven-splitting axe were 2 renowned axes in the central continent. Even mortals with no talent could soar to magnificent heights and become prominent figures if they got hold of these 2 axes. Mangu blurted out, the worn-out axe. The river spirit smiled faintly. What an honest young man. You may have all 3 axes. And thus, Mangu passed the second round. Look, I told you that Mangu would definitely pass the second round. Let me see what choices the single spirit root and sword spirit root will make. Dai Bufan watched on with excitement. The objective of the second round was to test one's honesty, and the passing criterion was to secure all 3 axes. The river spirit was actually not an illusion. In fact, he was a natural living spirit born from the small river encircling the bamboo forest. The river spirit had entered the illusionary domain under countless forms to assess numerous candidates. As he liked honest people, there was only one way to pass the second round: answer his questions honestly and be gifted with the 3 axes. Why did the axe fall into the river? Lu Yang was puzzled, feeling like there was some strange force compelling him to drop the axe. The river spirit emerged once more, inquiring cordially, Young man, I am the river spirit. Which axe did you drop inside the water just now? This worn-out axe, this mountain-splitting axe, which is a spirit artifact, or this heaven-splitting axe, which is an immortal artifact? Lu Yang bent down, sweeping his gaze over the 3 different axes. Raising his head, he stared at the river spirit pitifully, as if the latter was a fool. 2 of the axes belong to you. Don't you know which axes you own? Why are you asking me instead? The river spirit's smile froze in place. Stumped for words, he could only follow Lu Yang's rhythm. I truly don't know which 2 axes belong to me. Lu Yang eyed the river spirit warily. In that case, if I choose an axe, You are not going to suddenly recover your memory and tell me which 2 axes are yours, right? Of course not, the river spirit vowed. Let me take a look at the 3 axes. The river spirit passed the 3 axes to Lu Yong. Lu Yong promptly tossed the axes into the river. All right, now ask me again. The river spirit reflexively repeated. Which axe did you drop inside the water just now? This worn-out axe, this mountain-splitting axe, which is a spirit artifact, or this heaven-splitting axe, which is an immortal artifact? A brilliant smile broke out on Lu Yang's face. I dropped all of them. The river spirit. Gritting his teeth, he could only say, "What an honest young man. You may have all 3 axes." My axe, Meng Jingzhou hollered in the illusionary domain. His first thought was to go into the water to retrieve his axe. The river spirit appeared on the river's surface, holding 3 axes. Young man, you! Splash! Before the river spirit could finish, he witnessed Meng Jingzhou diving straight into the river. The bubbles he makes are even larger than mine. What on earth is going on? The river spirit was stupefied. It was his first time encountering such a situation. The gurgling bubbles gradually faded into a concerning silence. The only disturbance to the serene river surface was the ripples under the river spirit's feet from the aura waves he was emitting. Why is there no movement? Don't tell me he drowned? The river spirit mumbled. That said, he wasn't worried that Meng Jingzhou had really drowned. After all, this is an illusionary domain. People won't die from drowning. Before the river spirit could figure out what Meng Jingzhou was up to, something unusual happened once again. Ripples on the river surface grew more rampant, prompting the river spirit to knit his brow. I am controlling my power well, so it shouldn't be due to my aura waves. It finally dawned upon him. It's that lad. Strands of golden aura waves could be seen within the stream. Above the surface, the mist exuded traces of immortal intent, as if an unknown abomination was spawning at the bottom of the river, one capable of making the heart palpitate. 3 water jets spurted out of the river, spraying golden mist across the whole river which shrouded the river spirit's view. Suddenly, an inexplicable gust of wind dispersed the golden mist. 3 figures appeared. They all bore Meng Jingzhou's appearance, but it was not a stretch to say that their mannerisms were completely different from the original. The river spirit shuddered. It was an instinctive reaction, coming from the bottom of his soul. In front of him were Meng Jingzhou the mortal, Meng Jingzhou the formidable cultivator, and Meng Jingzhou the immortal. This phenomenon could be explained by the illusionary domain's fundamental principle. Anything that falls into the river would manifest in 3 forms: mortal, spirit, and immortal. Hand it over, the 3 Meng Jingzhous requested simultaneously, grabbing their respective axes. With immortal Meng Jingzhou around, the river spirit was at his mercy. Immortal Meng Jingzhou obtained the heaven-splitting axe, the immortal artifact. Formidable cultivator Meng Jingzhou obtained the mountain-splitting axe, the spirit artifact, and the mortal Meng Jingzhou took advantage of the other 2's presence to deftly swipe the worn-out axe before the river spirit could register what was happening. With all 3 axes in hand, the illusionary domain shattered, and Meng Jingzhou successfully passed the second round. Following that, Meng Jingzhou temporarily fell unconscious as a self-protection mechanism, just like the others who had passed the second round. After watching Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou's performance in the second round, the members of the Dao-Seeking Sect were stunned speechless for a long time. What happened to being honest people? Yun Zhi kept her opinions to herself. I have a feeling that if we recruit these 2 people into the Dao-Seeking Sect, we can say goodbye to peaceful days. But I hope my gut feeling is wrong. Just then, the real river spirit appeared with a golden and a silver axe in his hands, belligerently marching toward Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou. Not once have I ever suffered such humiliation as the guardian spirit of the Dao-Seeking Sect. Don't block me. I must teach these 2 brats a lesson today. I will break their arms and legs, then reattach them. The Dao-Seeking Sect disciples hurriedly restrained the raging river spirit. Senior river spirit, you can't chop them up. Please quell your anger. Senior river spirit. If word gets out that something happened to the participants, our sect's reputation will be ruined. In the end, It required Dai Bufan's intervention to restrain the incensed river spirit. Rest assured, river spirit, the third round is personally designed by me, Dai Bufan. It will definitely teach those two a lesson. The river spirit finally relented upon receiving Dai Bufan's word. The third round was intended to be the ultimate challenge. There had been two proposals. One was proposed by Yun Zhi and was thought to be more mild, while the other was proposed by Dai Bufan and was deemed to be a little cruel. Both would test one's Dao heart. Everyone had unanimously voted for Yun Zhi's proposal, which was very mild. Even if a candidate couldn't pass, there would be no punishment. However, to appease the river spirit, they could only switch to Dai Bufan's idea instead. Yun Zhi had no objections to that. It's not a bad idea to let these two fellows suffer a bit. The second round eventually weeded out a sizable number of participants. Faced with the temptation from the axes, many had followed the desire in their hearts and tried to deceive the river spirit by claiming that they had dropped the heaven-splitting axe and the mountain-splitting axe. As those eliminated left, they complained that the Dao-Seeking Sect's second round of the trials was overly tough. However, not all felt the same way. Those who passed the second round certainly weren't complaining. The second round was actually pretty simple, Mangu recounted. I just had to speak the truth. The candidates waiting for the third round nodded together. What? You mean we weren't supposed to jump into the river and snatch the axes from the river spirit? Meng Jingzhou exclaimed. Why are their methods different from mine? Lu Yong rolled his eyes at Meng Jingzhou, finding him stupid. If the river spirit weren't an illusion but instead real, wouldn't you have provoked him? You should have done what I did. Ask for all the axes and toss them into the river. That way, it could be counted as us dropping all 3 axes into the river. Meng Jingzhou felt as if he had seen the light. That's really clever. The rest silently watched Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou concluding their experiences in the previous round. Did we clear it in the wrong manner? Mangu nodded. I remember Father mentioning that the ancient barbarian tribe bloodline almost went extinct precisely because of our arrogance and incompetence. As a descendant, I must overcome this weakness, be humble, and learn from others. Mangu felt that he had found his role models. Just as everyone was about to discuss the proper method to pass the trial, Yun Zhi and Dai Bufan appeared along with the other Dao-Seeking Sect disciples. A smile hung at the corners of Dai Bufan's mouth. With a flip of his hand, a mountain the size of his palm materialized. Within the time span of a few breaths, it had already shot up to a few hundred zhang in height. Gasps of awe buzzed throughout the crowd. The skill showcased by Dai Bufan was a rare sight even among cultivators. Dense with lush and verdant trees, it was no different from an actual mountain. On one side of the mountain was a long staircase leading to the summit. This item is called Heart-Seeking Mountain, a mystical item I have requested an elder to craft. All living beings, be it immortals or mortals, are equal on this mountain. Your task is to climb the Heart-Seeking Mountain. The higher you climb, the stronger your willpower. Reaching the 50th step is considered a pass. Someone raised a question. But wouldn't that give Mangu an unfair advantage? It was not surprising that someone had brought it up. Despite being 15 years of age, Mangu stood a head taller than others and possessed the physique of a 25 or 26-year-old. One stride of his could cover twice the distance. Dai Bufan flashed a smile. You don't have to worry about this. The Heart-Seeking Mountain will ensure that everyone's physique is brought to the same level. Even if you are a cultivator, you will become immortal once you are on my Heart-Seeking Mountain. Is there a time limit? Someone else asked. No. The crowd rejoiced. Since there is no time limit, doesn't that mean that we can keep trying? We don't have to agonize over not passing the third round. Could this third round be just a formality? May we use magical treasures? Many of them had been bestowed with specially crafted magical treasures by their clans. No spirit energy was required to activate them, providing them with a significant boon. Dai Bufan's smile almost turned into one of schadenfreude. Yes, you may. That is, if you can. Despite arriving at Heart-Seeking Mountain, the candidates did not sense anything particularly different. Only Mangu felt his strength noticeably waning until it aligned with everyone else's. The fervent ancient barbarian blood in him settled into calmness, no longer supplying him with an endless flow of power. Everyone exchanged glances with one another before finally turning to the strongest person in the group. Meng Jingzhou. "I'll go first." Conscious of everyone's eyes on him, he proceeded to take the lead with no qualms. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 10 steps. Meng Jingzhou didn't break a single sweat for the first 10 steps. However, from the 11th step, the pressure gradually intensified. It was as if there was a rock on his back. The higher he climbed, the heavier it became. "But I can still handle it. Let's keep going." Meng Jingzhou gasped a few mouthfuls of air and steadied his breathing before heading toward the 20th step. Starting from the 20th step, each step grew increasingly challenging, and his pace became evidently more sluggish. By the time Meng Jingzhou reached the 29th step, his sweat was already seeping through the back of his shirt, and he was forced to stop. Heavily panting, he sat on the step for some respite. "I can feel the pressure even when I sit down," Meng Jingzhou muttered through clenched teeth, too exhausted to speak. "Now I'm sitting down, but the rock's still on my back. It's going to take a long time to recover like this." Observing how strenuous it was for Meng Jingzhou to climb the mountain, the other candidates' hearts sank. Someone voiced their dismay. "I've heard of similar trials from my clan elders. This heart-seeking mountain can test one's will and heart in seeking the Tao. A simple heart and resolute willpower are the key to a pure Tao heart." Meng Jingzhou is from the ancient barbarian tribe who are known to be straightforward and rigid, yet even he is struggling. "It'll only be harder for us. A heart-calming mantra can let the heart settle down. Would it be useful?" Someone else came up with a new suggestion. The objective of the 3rd round was for them to climb up to the 50th step, but there was no mention of whether they were required to clinch the top few positions in order to pass. In other words, they weren't competing against one another. Everyone nodded, agreeing that it was a good idea. Their clan elders had imparted to them similar mantras for the purpose of self-cultivation. Lu Yang parted his lips. "I don't know any heart-calming mantra." "Why don't I teach you a heart-calming mantra?" Meng Jingzhou asked. Lu Yang shook his head. "Hold on to it for now. Let me think of another way." Meng Jingzhou was cooperative and did not force the mantra on Lu Yang. After a while, Meng Jingzhou woke up from his meditative state and found that he had achieved an inner peace he'd never had before. The heart-calming mantra works. As Meng Jingzhou's meditative state lasted longer than the average person's, the rest were already between the 20th and 30th steps by the time he woke up. Their backs were drenched in sweat, and even inching forward required tremendous perseverance. Their faces were slick with sweat, but they did not even have the strength to wipe it off. Some people wanted to be trailblazers. One thought that they would only feel the pressure when they were on the steps, so he attempted to go up the mountainside, only to discover that the plan would not work. As long as he was on the heart-seeking mountain, the higher he climbed, the greater the pressure he felt. A few even wanted to use their magical treasures, only to find them devoid of their powers. Regardless of how incredible the magical treasures originally were, it was impossible to even activate them, which meant that they were no different from scrap metal. No wonder Dai Bufan wasn't worried about us using magical treasures. Falling behind everyone else, Lu Yang was the most conspicuous. Barefoot on one leg, he squatted at the 10th step, deep in thought as he scrutinized something. "What are you doing? Everyone is already very far ahead," Meng Jingzhou asked curiously. Lu Yang did not answer. He suddenly tossed a shoe, and it landed on the 11th step. "Try picking it up." Despite not understanding Lu Yang's intention, Meng Jingzhou still followed suit. Soon, he realized that the shoe was heavier than usual, as if something was pulling it from below. Meng Jingzhou felt that he was starting to get the hang of it. He threw the shoe to the 12th step and found that the speed of descent was the same as before, but when he picked it up, it was heavier than it had been on the 11th step. "What pattern have you noticed?" Meng Jingzhou furrowed his brow. "When an object doesn't touch the ground, the pressure won't be transferred to it. Only when the object contacts the ground will it bear additional pressure." "That's right." Lu Yang was over the moon as he pounded his palm with his other fist. It's rare to find someone on the same wavelength. The cogs in Meng Jingzhou's head could turn faster when he was in a peaceful state. The steps are inclined. With so many trees around, we can craft a ladder shaped like a 7. One end of the ladder will be buried into the ground, while the other end will lead straight to the 50th step. Lu Yong affirmed confidently, "Precisely. That is the correct answer. The third round should be testing our wisdom." With both of them on the same page, Meng Jingzhou quickly brought up another question. "How are we going to chop down the trees? We don't have axes or saws. Don't you have sharp magical artifacts with you?" Lu Yong had long anticipated this issue. "I wanted to collaborate with others, but unfortunately, the others don't understand my ideas." Meng Jingzhou took out a dagger. "The clan elders gave me this to defend myself. It can be activated with one's consciousness, and its speed is comparable to that of a golden core cultivator. However, it can't fly on the heart-seeking mountain. That's not a problem. It just needs to be sharp." Lu Yong beamed. "The Meng family is an enormous clan. Even if their magical treasures can't be activated, they are still much sharper than the axes and saws in the mortal realm. Perfect for chopping wood. Come look. While you were meditating, I designed a blueprint." Lu Yong led Meng Jingzhou to an area of soft and loose sand, where Lu Yong had sketched his diagram for the 7-shaped ladder. After a brief discussion, the two got to work. The Meng family's dagger was indeed sharp. It sliced through the thick trees like paper. As cultivators were reduced to nothing but mortals on the heart-seeking mountain, the trees on the mountain were naturally normal ones. Before long, they had finished preparing the peculiarly shaped wooden planks. Meng Jingzhou soon came across another problem. "How do we connect these wooden planks? We don't have nails, and even if we did, how would they be able to join such thick wooden planks? Have you heard of the tenon and mortise joint?" "No." Shaking his head, Lu Yong could only grab the dagger and carve the wooden planks accordingly while expounding to Meng Jingzhou on the wisdom of the mortal realm. "This protruding part is called the tenon, and this hole is called the mortise, so together they're a tenon and mortise joint. The best thing about it is that even without nails, it's still very sturdy." Meng Jingzhou listened intently, but his thoughts trailed elsewhere. "The Meng family has artifact crafting techniques, and we use spirit energy for that, not nails. What can we even do with this tenon mortise joint?" Meanwhile, everyone on the steps was dripping with sweat and gasping for air, all for the goal of becoming the first to reach the 50th step and pass this round. Perhaps the first to pass this round will receive recognition from the Dao-Seeking Sect, and they will pay more attention to nurturing that person. Everyone also finally understood why there was no time limit. Climbing the mountain itself already expended too much energy. If they stayed on the mountain for too long, hunger would consume them to the point that they wouldn't even be able to stand up. The two people at the bottom of the steps were similarly dripping with sweat and gasping for air. They had spent half the day chopping down trees and going through multiple rounds of trial and error before finally putting together a ladder. It was an oddly shaped ladder. The top was thin while the bottom was thick, and the ends were crooked. Rather than calling it a ladder, it was indeed more apt to say that it was a massive 7. The now bare surrounding land seemed as if a colossal pig demon had just gnawed on it. A few Dao-Seeking Sect disciples secretly peeked at Dai Bufan. If I remember correctly, senior brother Dai Bufan loved flaunting his verdant and lush heart-seeking mountain. The man in question was clenching his fists unconsciously, and his eyes were twitching. Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou crouched and used the dagger to dig a hole in the ground. Burying one end of the ladder into the earth, they stomped the soil to firm it up. Lu Yong kicked the ladder. It did not budge. Instead, the vibration caused his right leg to turn numb. "Not bad, very sturdy. Let me try first. You can follow if I succeed." Meng Jingzhou nodded. "No problem." Lu Yong rubbed his hands, then sped toward the ladder, swiftly climbing up. When he reached the corner, which was also the same height as the 50th step, he murmured, "Oh no!" Forcing himself to look straight ahead and ignore what was below him, Lu Yong edged forward at the speed of a caterpillar. The people on the steps lifted their heads, their jaws dropping as the scene of Lu Yong approaching the 50th step unfolded before their eyes. "What the hell is that?" A gigantic ladder with a 90-degree angle had been planted into the ground, and its end was at the finishing point, the 50th step. Although they had noticed Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou building the ladder at the bottom of the steps, they hadn't thought much of it. It hadn't been easy for them to arrive at the 40th step, so they thought there was no point in bothering with what the two were up to. If they went back down and realized that all the two were concocting was nonsense, they wouldn't have the energy to go back up to the 40th step. That would cement their failure for this round. Among all of them, Man Gu had the most commendable progress. Despite reaching the 49th step, it was as if an insurmountable chasm lay between him and the 50th step. He felt like he was carrying a mountain ready to crush him. Just then, he watched helplessly as Lu Yong climbed past him, arriving at the 50th step. Without any mishap, Lu Yong successfully passed. Following closely behind, Meng Jingzhou also passed. With that, the first and second places were set. Outside the heart-seeking mountain, the Dao-Seeking Sect disciples were in a frenzy. "Don't block me. I must teach those two brats a lesson today. I guarantee that I won't beat them to death." Dai Bufan's muscles were bulging, and he looked like a black bear whose honey had been snatched. His junior brothers and sisters hurriedly came to dissuade him. "Senior brother Dai, you can't beat them. Senior brother Dai, you have to calm down. If word gets out that something happened to the participants, our sect's reputation will be ruined. Senior brother Dai, bullying the weak will besmirch your reputation. Senior brother Dai, don't forget that the third round tests one's heart in seeking the Tao. You mustn't get angry." The last few words finally reminded Dai Bufan to calm down. That's right, the third round tests one's heart to seek the Tao. Getting angry so easily will be detrimental to my future cultivation. Wait a minute. The third round is testing them, not me. The Dao-Seeking Sect disciples were once again plunged into a frenzy. The river spirit was comforted as he watched the pandemonium breaking out. Returning to the river, he decided that he no longer wanted to deal with those people. Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou's stellar collaboration seemed to have inspired the others, for they roared as they pushed themselves all the way to the 50th step. Man Gu was the first, followed by people Lu Yong didn't recognize. They were all people who ranked behind Lu Yong, so he had no idea what was special about their spirit root, but he did recognize the last few who had dual spirit roots. The remaining participants tried relentlessly, but they were ultimately unable to advance a single step further. They thought of going down the mountain to make use of Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou's ladder to reach the 50th step, but descending did not spare them from the immense pressure, and their bodies were already at their limits. The third round has ended. The people still on the mountain are disqualified, Yun Zhi coldly announced, then asked Dai Bufan to bring them down the mountain. Even Dai Bufan could not purge the effects of the heart-seeking mountain. To rescue the people on the mountain, he would have to bear the pressure as a mortal and climb every single step up. Dai Bufan glared at Lu Yong viciously before proceeding to climb the mountain. He climbed to the 50th step with ease. Witnessing how effortless it was for Dai Bufan and recalling their struggle of life and death to the 50th step, they could only remark how tremendous the disparity was. There's nothing not to understand. All of you are only 14 or 15 years old. Even if you were exposed to cultivation from a young age due to your clans, what you witnessed is nothing more than the moon in the water and flowers in a mirror. There is no substance, so you can't truly understand the meaning of Tao and immortal. Cultivation to become an immortal also includes cultivating the heart and mind. When you have achieved success in your cultivation, climbing the heart-seeking mountain will no longer be a challenge. Nearing the end of his explanation, Yun Zhi was reminded of something. Congratulations on becoming disciples of the Dao-Seeking Sect, she added for formality's sake. She waved her hand, and the bells on her wrist tinkled. A blanket of mist rose and morphed into a cloud, lifting everyone up. As Lu Yong stood on the cloud and watched the ground getting further away, he tried hard to swallow his saliva, feeling as if his heart was in his throat. Oh man, cultivation is so thrilling. Yun Zhi looked down at her junior brothers and sisters who were clearing up. Thank you all. After you are done cleaning up, you may continue working on your other matters. The disciples replied simultaneously, understood. They kept chanting 1, 2, 3, as they dismantled Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou's ladder. We can't have a random ladder on the heart-seeking mountain. On the cloud, Lu Yong did not dare to even open his eyes. However, hearing the animated discussion around him, as the rest exclaimed how beautiful the scenery was, he finally succumbed to his curiosity. When he opened his eyes, he was totally stunned by the scenery before him. A towering mountain stood in the center of a sea of mountains, its precipitous cliffs piercing right into the clouds as if it were a majestic, immortal sword. 8 mountains emanating fascinating aura waves surrounded the mountain in the middle. On the periphery was an undulating range of mountains encircling the 9 core mountains. The mountains resembled a blooming lotus flower that enthralled one's heart, while the hazy mist that shrouded them provided an additional tinge of mystery. Yun Zhi explained indifferently, "There are 9 core peaks in the Dao-Seeking Sect. The one in the middle, Heaven's Gate Peak, is where the sect leader resides. The other 8 peaks belong to 8 elders who each have their own expertise and position. The other mountain peaks include the sect's trial grounds, annexes and external grounds of the elders' mountain peaks, and the Dao-Seeking Sect disciples' cultivation grounds. There are also some dangerous areas. Inadequate cultivation would result in death. It's not something that can be explained in a few sentences. All of you can slowly explore in the future." Cultivation focuses on the word kismet. In the upcoming month, you can move around in Dao-seeking freely. That includes touring the mountain peaks and entering the scripture library. You can also consult the senior disciples and elders. 1 month from now, you will choose an elder as your master. Of course, the elder must first agree to take you in as their disciple. Man Gu was straightforward in voicing his question. "It has to be an elder? Can we choose the sect leader?" "You can, but the sect leader has never liked teaching disciples. Your chances are very slim." In spite of Yun Zhi's words, many people still wanted the sect leader as their master. The Dao-Seeking Sect was one of the esteemed Central Continent Great 5 immortal sects, so the sect leader held an impressive position. His strength was also unquestionable, and few could stand against him. They could already imagine the countless overt and discreet benefits if they could enter the tutelage of someone as formidable as the sect leader. Someone will lead you to your respective cave abodes later. Lu Yong and Meng Jingzhou, you two stay behind. After everyone else left, the two nervously lowered their heads and stared at their feet, worried that Yun Zhi would follow up on their cheating attempt. It took a long time before Yun Zhi slowly said, "I didn't expect the 2 of you to pass the trials and become our sect disciples. Both of you ranked at the top for all 3 trials, especially the 3rd trial where you came in 1st and 2nd respectively. However, that doesn't mean that you are the best performing candidates in this batch. For example, there is Man Gu from the ancient barbarian tribe. There's also Tao Yaoye who has a metamorphic immortal physique and Li Haoren who has a fire spirit root. They were behind you. Yet they're all geniuses no less talented than you." Puffed up with pride, Meng Jingzhou winked at Lu Yong. "The metamorphic immortal physique is even rarer than a single spiritual root, and Big Senior Sister still thinks they're behind us. That means she approves of us." Lu Yong helplessly clarified. Big Senior Sister probably meant that the person with the metamorphic immortal physique was queuing behind us. Yun Zhi cut in. "Although both of you performed decently, you mustn't become too full of yourself. When you officially begin cultivating, you will need to be down to earth and avoid being arrogant or impatient." Noting Yun Zhi's serious tone, the two quickly promised that they would be diligent in their future cultivation. Sensing that the two did not seem to be making empty promises, Yun Zhi's expression loosened up. "Since you have given me a ride, I will give you a fortuitous opportunity. Meng Jingzhou, you have a pure yang spirit root. You have abundant blood and qi, and you are a bane to ghosts and monsters. Among the 8 elders, 3rd elder is well-versed in this discipline, so you can take him as your master." Pumped with joy, Meng Jingzhou bowed. "Thank you, Big Senior Sister. Lu Yong, you have a sword spirit root. You are born for the sword. The best in the sword arts is naturally my Shifu, the sect leader. You should take him as your master." "But Big Senior Sister, you just said that the sect leader has never liked teaching disciples." Lu Yong softly muttered. He had also noticed the difference in Yun Zhi's choice of words. She told Meng Jingzhou that he can choose, but when it came to me, she said I should. That's a completely different thing. That's not a problem. I can make the decision for him. Yun Zhi's indifferent tone stunned Lu Yang. The way she said it sounds like the sect leader has to agree even if he doesn't want to. These are just my suggestions. Just like the others, you have a 1-month adjustment period. You can decide who you want to choose as your master after that. Yun Zhi then flew toward Heaven's Gate Peak, where the sect leader was. Meanwhile, in the discussion hall on Heaven's Gate Peak, a smooth water mirror was projected in the air. It was enchanted, and whatever it displayed could be viewed from any angle. It had just featured the entire process of the 3 rounds in the trials. 8 figures either nodded or shook their heads, uttered praises or curses, possessing contrasting opinions toward the candidates who passed the trials. When they reached the climax, they almost started a brawl with one another. This was nothing unusual. These 8 figures had their distinct temperaments, and when they couldn't win through words, they would resort to blows. Although they were only supposed to comment on how their juniors selected the disciples, it had evolved into full-blown duels fueled by unrestrained emotions, an eye-opening sight for the whole of the Dao-Seeking Sect. Due to the previous instances of mayhem, the true forms of the 8 figures were not present. That way, even if their impatience got the better of them, no physical fight would ensue. The lad Mangu is not bad. He has a pure ancient barbarian tribe bloodline, and his sheer brute strength is unequaled among his peers. Moreover, he is also pure-hearted. This person is suitable to receive my legacy. The only pity is that he is too pure and naive, which is exactly why the ancient barbarian tribe almost disappeared. If there is a chance in the future, we can place more emphasis on nurturing him. What do you mean he's suited for your legacy? I haven't had a suitable successor for ages. Considering how Mangu is devoted to his tasks, it is only right that he comes under my tutelage. The more the 2 elders argued, the more their tempers flared. In the end, they rolled up their sleeves and continued glaring at each other. The other elders left the 2 fools alone, and one of them remarked, "The metamorphic immortal physique is impervious to all magic, devoid of filth, and can easily metamorphize for ascension. Come to think of it, it has been a long time since I have come across one. The last time a metamorphic immortal physique appeared was when we just joined the Dao-Seeking Sect. Unfortunately, the previous person was too hasty with his cultivation. However, before he could make a name for himself in the central continent, his eagerness to cultivate to perfection got the better of him. There was no cure for that frustration, and it eventually killed him. 6th Elder, you are the most familiar with the immortal physique among all of us. Perhaps this girl has an affinity with you. The one with the fire spirit root, Li Haoran, has potential for concocting pills and crafting weapons. The only flaw is his impatient character. During the 3rd trial, he was so bent on surpassing Mangu that he ended up wasting all his energy early on and everybody else overtook him. As for the lad from the Meng family and Lu Yang, one of them has a pure yang spirit root and the other has a sword spirit root, so they are both very promising. The way they passed the trials was also creative and took everyone's breath away. Such great potential. Big brother, why don't you take them under your wing? Absolutely. You only have Dai Bufan as your disciple now, but he has already graduated and no longer needs guidance. If you take in 2 genius disciples now, when they attain great heights in the future, wouldn't that be yet another beautiful story? Another elder chimed in. Shoo, you only know how to mention the insignificant merits. Just based on the way they pass the trials, if I do take them in, I can say goodbye to peaceful days. All I want now is to retire safely and become a grand elder. Don't give me trouble. 2nd Elder, why don't you take them? Why don't I take care of you first? The 8 elders modestly yielded to one another, not in the least interested in accepting the 2 geniuses that had a single spirit root. You gotta be kidding me. Whoever takes these 2 in can forget about having a peaceful time for the rest of their lives. Look there. That last Yun Zhi is giving suggestions to those 2. What? One of them is to become the sect leader's disciple and the other 3rd elders. Everyone's gazes shifted to 3rd Elder. The latter could only sigh. I can't find fault with Yun Zhi's recommendation. I am the most suitable for nurturing a pure yang spirit root. Out of the 8 figures, third elder stood out the most. It was not due to his height, but rather his muscular frame and overflowing vigor that made him resemble a torch in the darkness, evident traits of a physique cultivator. It was said that in his younger days, his vitality was so uncontrollable that he had to run to the spirit fields and push the buffalo demons to the side so that he could plow the land himself. Speaking of which, hasn't the sect leader been in seclusion for 9 years? Now that you've mentioned it, everyone suddenly recalled their sect leader. It feels like there isn't much difference between having one and not having one. Then how is the sword spirit root going to formally acknowledge him as his master? While they were chattering, a graceful figure flew over on a cloud. The mist dissipated, revealing Yun Zhi. Greetings, senior uncles. Everyone hurriedly rose and bowed. Now that the sect leader was in seclusion, Yun Zhi held the role of acting sect leader. She was in charge of the whole sect, so her position was above the 8 elders. Senior uncles, I know that all of you have disciples you prefer to take in, but becoming master and disciple involves significant karma and can't be forced. I hope you won't interfere too much with their decisions. This was something the elders already knew about, and they smiled sheepishly. Of course. However, regarding the sword spirit root becoming the sect leader's disciple, is that the sect leader's idea or yours? Yun Zhi was slightly displeased upon hearing about the sect leader, and she replied coldly, Is there a difference? The 8 elders fell silent. There is no difference, indeed. Who are we kidding? How could the sect leader possibly dare to oppose your decision? After Yun Zhi left, Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou followed the other disciples to check out their cave abodes. Before that, however, Lu Yang followed Meng Jingzhou to fetch the old horse still waiting outside the Dao-Seeking Sect. When they arrived outside, Lu Yang noticed quite a few fellow new disciples sharing the positive news with their families. Regardless of whether it was a small family or an ancestral cultivation clan, successfully joining the Dao-Seeking Sect was a major accomplishment worth being recorded in the family's history. Why is there no one from your family here? Lu Yang had only deduced from Meng Jingzhou's words that the Meng family was an ancestral cultivation clan with a long history. Meng Jingzhou was a little proud. I left my home and family. Lu Yang. What are you proud of? Once Meng Jingzhou took the old horse back to his cave abode, Lu Yang similarly went to his own. Inside, he took out a jade pendant. A senior brother who I don't know gave this to me just now, saying that this is an identification tag. Beyond the sect, it could show outsiders that we are disciples of the Dao-Seeking Sect, and within the sect, it could be used to activate cave abodes. The jade pendant had the characters Lu Yang written on it. There were also other features, but he could only employ them after officially becoming a cultivator. Lu Yang placed the jade pendant against the stone wall at the entrance of the cave abode. The jade pendant was glittering with blue light, which matched the recessed area. After flickering twice, the stone wall automatically moved apart, revealing an inconceivably luxurious cave abode in front of Lu Yang. The moment he stepped in, he felt warmth enveloping him as if there was a mysterious power nourishing his body. Is this the spirit qi they have been talking about? Shock overwhelmed Lu Yang. The spirit qi in here is so unusually thick that even I can sense it as a mortal. On the other hand, the furnishing of the cave abode was simple. A table, a round futon cushion, and a straw mat. The contrast with the massive size of the cave abode made the place look empty and desolate. I wonder what the Dao-Seeking Sect's intentions are: warn their disciples to be free of desires or give them the artistic freedom to decorate their dwellings however they like. A piece of paper sat on the table, with things scribbled on both sides. The front stated that disciples who were clueless about cultivation could head to Impartation Peak to learn some basic knowledge or go to the scripture library for self-study. The other side of the paper featured a simplistic map of the Dao-Seeking Sect. It indicated the main peaks in the sect, but the rest were blank spaces. At least, Lu Yang could discern that the Dao-Seeking Sect spanned 100,000 li in landmass, which was much more expansive than he could imagine. Nonetheless, the front side of the paper gave Lu Yang some directions as to what he could do for the upcoming month. Lu Yang yawned and decided that it was time for a good sleep. From leaving his house and finding himself in rainy weather, to relying on his genuine character and outstanding wisdom to pass the 3 rounds and receive the attention of Yun Zhi and Dai Bufan, and finally becoming a disciple of the Dao-Seeking Sect. The day had left him mentally exhausted, and he couldn't even lift an eyelid. Dao-Seeking Sect, why do you not even have a pillow? Lu Yang grumbled before his exhaustion caught up with him. Ignoring the discomfort, he puckered his mouth and soon fell into deep slumber. The next morning, Lu Yang woke up very early. He planned to head to the scripture library and gain a rough understanding of the situation in the central continent. New here, a senior male disciple at the scripture library's entrance asked Lu Yang. Yes, since you're new here, I'll share with you the scripture library's rules. The rules are simple. There are only 3. 1. You only have permission to access any book on the first floor. 2. You can only borrow 1 book for now. 3. You must take care of the books. Don't dirty them, otherwise you will have to compensate for it in full. Lu Yang nodded. I have remembered them. The senior male disciple said no more and let Lu Yang enter. Inside the scripture library, the sect disciples were so engrossed in reading that they didn't even notice Lu Yang when he walked past. One could only hear the sound of footsteps and the rustling of pages being flipped in this enormous library. The assortment of books was impressive and comprehensive. It encompassed a range of selections that included folk arts such as introductions to Xiangxing comedy and books for cultivators, such as secret manuals of cultivation techniques for cultivators and insights to qi training and foundation establishment. Overwhelmed by the collection, Lu Yang wasn't sure which book he should start with. What book is this? Lu Yang happened to find a book wedged between the shelves. It was covered with a thick layer of dust, implying that no one had read it for a long time. Wiping away the dust, he finally saw the book's title, Dragon Phoenix Transformation. What an imposing title! Lu Yang exclaimed. I don't even have to look at its contents to feel its imposing aura. For a moment, something came over him. He felt as if he could hear the cries of the dragon and phoenix. Their hazy figures appeared before his eyes, seeming very lifelike. Following that, the figures disappeared like they were exiting from a stage. Jerked out of his reverie, Lu Yang scanned his surroundings. The sounds and hazy figures had vanished. Don't tell me it was just an illusion? Lu Yang was still skeptical yet slightly excited as he flipped to the first page. Maybe this is my fortuitous opportunity. Just then, the unexpectedly sharp paper cut his finger, and a few drops of blood stained the page. Suddenly, the old book emitted golden rays of light. It seemed like something was about to break free from within. Lu Yang's heart was palpitating against his chest. This entire process had been completely beyond his expectation and control. He didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse. He even felt as if a powerful presence was observing him, and he subconsciously didn't dare to move. The feeling is getting stronger, which means that the powerful presence is coming closer. At long last, the powerful presence stood behind Lu Yang, staring at him cryptically and silently, frightening Lu Yang until he broke out in cold sweat. That powerful presence finally spoke. You! Yes! Lu Yang shuddered. You dirted the book. Lu Yang turned back, finally uncovering the identity of the powerful presence. The senior male disciple from the scripture library's entrance. His brow was furrowed as he stared at the bloodstains on the book, slightly displeased. I just reminded this fellow not to dirty the books, and here he goes dripping blood onto the book. There was an array cast in the scripture library. Every time someone dirted a book, golden rays of light would be emitted, signaling to the people guarding the place. What book is this? Why haven't I seen it before? The senior male disciple browsed through the book, his expression changing from one of confusion to startlement. This is actually the legendary forbidden book. Lu Yang was elated. I didn't think my luck would be so good, finding an ancient forbidden book right as I stepped into the scripture library. I wonder what secrets lie hidden in this book. Senior brother, is there a problem with this book? Lu Yang was curious. The senior male disciple's expression grew grim as he contemplated for a while. Should I share such secret matters with this newcomer junior brother? He ultimately decided to be honest with Lu Yang. This book records the dragon and phoenix's mating process in detail. Because it was too detailed, the dragon tribe and phoenix tribe lodged a complaint together, and it eventually became classified as a forbidden book. I thought this book had already been destroyed. Who would have thought that one copy would remain here? I wonder who hid this. Lu Yang. In other words, this is a dirty book. Damn it, a harmonious marriage like the dragon and phoenix, they say. Just then, he suddenly remembered something. Senior brother mentioned that I'll have to compensate if I dirty a book. Lu Yang asked nervously, "Do I have to compensate? The most valuable thing I have on me is my brain." Compensate. The senior male disciple took a glimpse at the book in his hand, then glanced at Lu Yang, his eyes twitching hard. According to the rules, he does need to pay with spirit stones, but the problem is that if word of this book were to get out, it would be equivalent to waiting for the dragon and phoenix tribes to join hands and charge all the way from the demon region to the central continent for the Dao-Seeking Sect. Although the Dao-Seeking Sect is not afraid of these two tribes, and the dragon liver and phoenix marrow taste delicious and consuming them can nourish the yin and the yang. We are after all an upright sect. Having a forbidden book like Dragon Phoenix Transformation in our scripture library will ultimately tarnish our reputation. The senior male disciple casually hid the book into his sleeve with an indifferent expression. Compensate? What book did you dirty? I didn't see it. Destroying a book in the scripture library is too conspicuous and will trigger an array. It'd be better to destroy it outside instead. Lu Yang instantly connected the dots. Senior brother wants to keep it for himself. That's why he said nothing happened just now. I get it. The two exchanged glances with the corners of their mouth raised up, as if they had truly understood the other party's intentions. The incident with the forbidden book was just a minor episode. Lu Yang hadn't forgotten his real objective for coming to the scripture library. After scouring through the place for what felt like eternity, he finally found the book he desired, Geography of the Continent, a book providing an introduction to the central continent. Lu Yang rubbed his hand in excitement and began poring over the book. There exist humans, demons, monsters, and other beings in this world. The central continent is where the human race congregate, and the largest power on this continent is the Great Xia dynasty, the sole nation on the central continent. It controls the destiny of the human race and represents their legitimate bloodline. He mused to himself, if that's the case, my house is also part of the Great Xia dynasty's jurisdiction even though it's close to the Dao-Seeking Sect. Lu Yang continued to read. To the east of the continent lies a vast ocean with scattered islands. Every now and then, ancient beasts such as the giant Kuan fish, the great Peng bird, and the faceless Hundun beast will be sighted. To the west of the continent is the Golden Buddhist Kingdom, a nation of boundless pure land and temples that are countless as grains of sand. To the south of the continent is the Demon region, where the Dragon tribe and Phoenix tribe reign supreme. The demon race is cruel and bloodthirsty, and they are constantly in conflict with the Great Xia dynasty. There are even demons hiding within the Great Xia dynasty, posing a threat to humans. To the north of the continent is the extreme north. The ice never melts, no grass grows, humans are sparse in numbers, and other beings hardly appear. Only the strongest of races can live in this place. The human race and cultivators make up the majority of the central continent. Some cultivators choose to serve in the court as an official, while most other cultivators choose to establish their own sects or join an existing one. The continent is dotted with numerous sects, the most powerful being the 5 great immortal sects, which the Dao-Seeking Sect is a member of. They are recognized as the leaders of the righteous path. As Lu Yang read on, he analyzed, the book even states that each sect from the 5 great immortal sects surely has a transcendent tribulation expert and methods equivalent to such power. Does that mean that the sect leader is a transcendent tribulation expert? Or could the Dao-Seeking Sect have a grand elder who is living isolated from the world? Thinking about how he had the fortune to become the disciple of the sect leader who might be a transcendent tribulation expert, Lu Yang was over the moon. He stood up and poured himself a cup of water to calm his jubilation before sitting back down and continuing to read. The diabolic path cultivators are extremely bloodthirsty, using other living beings' lives to grow their own cultivation. They pose a greater threat than the demons. Ultimately, they are cultivators that are not presentable and hide in the shadows. under the combined efforts of the Great Xia dynasty and the 5 great immortal sects to suppress them, the diabolic path sects only dare to act in secret. Apart from the cultivators of the diabolic path, the book also touched upon something called perverse devil, but the description was relatively obscure. It simply mentioned how perverse devils were born heartless and the shadows of the human race. They were something beyond the realms of common understanding and should be avoided at all costs. It was so mysterious that Lu Yang still didn't understand what a perverse devil was. The currency of mortals is gold, silver, and copper, while the currency of cultivators is spirit stones, classified into grades of high, medium, and low. Afterward, Lu Yang started to learn about the basic common knowledge of cultivation, including the standards for each cultivation stage, what the 100 arts of cultivation exactly comprised, the breeds of demon beasts, the tiers of cultivation techniques, and the history of the central continent. The information Lu Yang had gleaned from the storyteller in the tea house was far from what was enough for him to find a place in the cultivation world. As he absorbed the lines of interesting knowledge, he found himself immersed and swimming in the sea of knowledge. Only until evening did he feel a pang of hunger and remember that he hadn't eaten for a day. The senior male disciple was no longer standing guard at the entrance. Instead, it was a senior female disciple. Lu Yang asked respectfully, "Senior sister? Sorry for disrupting. I am a disciple who just joined yesterday and am still unfamiliar with the Dao-Seeking Sect. Is there a place for meals in the Dao-Seeking Sect?" The senior female disciple was startled by Lu Yang. She shuddered, and her eyes were furtive, visibly scared of speaking with people. Most people are able to abide by the scripture library's rules and need no reminders, so my personality is a good fit for this place. Not daring to meet Lu Yang's eyes, her head was lowered as she softly muttered, "So you just joined, junior brother? There is a dining hall in the Dao-Seeking Sect, but as someone experienced, I won't recommend eating there." Lu Yang was befuddled. "Why is that so? Is there a problem with the dining hall?" "It is at 100 Refinements Peak. It belongs to 5th Elder." Lu Yang was taken aback. The name doesn't sound like a place for preparing meals. Regarding this 100 Refinements Peak, 5th Elder specializes in crafting weapons, so the 100 Refinements Peak is naturally a peak dedicated to that. The dining hall is located right on this peak, and the chefs in the dining halls are all top-notch weapon crafting masters. Their mantu can pierce through mountains, their rice grains can be used as covert weapons, and their youtiao can even smash apart steel and bones. Lu Yang didn't know where to start cursing. Why can the chefs become weapon crafting masters? The senior female disciple timidly explained, "Think about it, junior brother. A crucial part of being a chef is controlling the heat, and this is precisely what the weapon crafting masters excel at. These two professions are more closely related than you think." Lu Yang nodded sincerely. "Indeed, they are more closely related than I'd thought." Noting Lu Yang's plain attire, the senior female disciple hesitated for a bit. "Moreover, when you purchase weapons, going to the dining hall to eat requires spirit stones. Junior brother, you don't seem to be very well off. Most cultivators' attires may not be luxurious, but they're at least made from common spirit items such as celestial silkworm silk, which makes them impervious to fire and water." From Lu Yang's modest attire that was patched with many scraps of cloth, she could tell at one glance that he came from a mortal background. Lu Yang could only laugh sheepishly. "She got it right, I don't have a single spirit stone." "No need to be embarrassed. There are many disciples in the Dao-Seeking Sect who were mortals." The senior female disciple comforted him. "There are other ways to get food. You can go and take a look at Pill Cauldron Peak. There should be discarded fasting pills. You can try asking them for some." She added, "The Pill Cauldron Peak has high standards for their pills, so even if they call it discarded, it is simply because they are of lower quality. You don't have to worry about it being poisonous. However, when you are at the Pill Cauldron Peak, you have to be careful of 7th Elder, who is the Peak Master, Senior Brother Wu Ming, Senior Brother Wen De, Senior Sister Qing Kong, Junior Brother Long Yen. Anyways, just be careful." Setting aside his bewilderment, Lu Yang cupped his fists. "Thank you, senior sister. I am Lu Yang. May I ask what your name is?" "I'm Zhou Lulu." Bidding goodbye to Zhou Lulu, Lu Yang made his way to Pill Cauldron Peak. Just as he arrived at the foot of the mountain, a strong medicinal fragrance assaulted his nostrils. As expected of Pill Cauldron Peak, even the air is filled with fragrance. The paradise and celestial lands from the legends may not even compare to this. Lu Yong couldn't help but inhale a few more breaths. His body felt as light as a feather, as if he was about to metamorphose and ascend to an immortal. "Junior brother, don't breathe in," someone hollered from a distance. Upon noticing that Lu Yong even took in a few more breaths, he became even more frantic. "Junior brother, quickly use the turtle breathing technique." "Oh wait, you seem to be immortal, quickly cover your nose then." I slipped up while crafting medicine, and this poisonous scent was emitted. Lu Yong couldn't hear anything else he said after that. "What kind of place is this? Even a smell is poisonous," Lu Yong murmured as he stood up wobbly. He felt as if the world was spinning around him. Before long, everything went black, and he collapsed to the ground. What just transpired proved that a scent's fragrance has no relation to its toxicity. By the time Lu Yong regained consciousness, he saw a large face blocking his sight, startling him until he was fully awake. The person sheepishly laughed. "Junior brother Lu, you're awake. It doesn't hurt anymore, right?" The jade pendant had helped him recognize Lu Yang's identity. Lu Yong blinked his eyes, unable to ignore the soreness all over his body, as if he had been rolled into a ball of dough and then flattened with a rolling pin. Taking in his surroundings, he found himself in a pill concoction room. The intensity of the medicinal scent was even stronger than that outdoors. In the middle of the room lay a gigantic furnace for concocting pills, surrounded by shelves filled with bundles of medicinal herbs and white porcelain bottles which likely contained successfully concocted pills. Strewn on the floor were diagrams of pill concoction methods and white mice locked in cages. Those unfamiliar with this place would struggle to even find a spot to step on. There was only one bed in this room, the one Lu Yong was lying on. "I'm Wu Ming. Sorry, junior brother. As I was ruminating over a problem when I was concocting pills, I got a little distracted and didn't control the fire well, so I ended up concocting a poison instead." Wu Ming proudly added on, "That said, you don't have to worry. Although I often accidentally turn pills into poison, I've never killed anyone. Now I'm even more worried." Lu Yong got up painfully and shifted himself to the corner of the bed so that he could be more comfortable leaning against the wall. Feeling his head itch, he touched the back of it, pausing for a moment before asking, "If I only inhaled poisonous air, why is the back of my head wrapped in bandages?" Wu Ming awkwardly explained, "I got a little distracted when carrying you, so your head hit the ground. But you don't have to worry. As long as you're alive, you can be healed at our Pill Cauldron Peak. The pills I have are too potent and unsuitable for your consumption. Look, when you were unconscious, I specially concocted pills that even mortals can ingest." Wu Ming passed 2 pills to Lu Yong just like he was offering a treasure. The pills were golden with 3 rings around them, what Lu Yong knew as pill marks, a sign of near perfection. Lu Yong still didn't dare to eat it. "I came to Pill Cauldron Peak only wanting to request for a few fasting pills. But before I could even do anything, I'm already lying in bed with my head wrapped in bandages. If I eat something else, I'm afraid that even the king of hell would praise me for my recklessness." "It's not poisonous, really?" Wu Ming assured him repeatedly. Seeing Lu Yang's evident lack of trust, Wu Ming found a little white mouse to demonstrate. The little white mouse seemed to know that its death was imminent. When Wu Ming picked it up, it was still squeaking incessantly as it bid farewell to its wife and children. After ingesting the pill, the little white mouse fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Its family cried plaintively, as if they could already see a similar fate. "Lu Yong. Wu Ming." Wu Ming quickly explained, "An accident. That was just an accident. The little white mouse has a small body, so even just a teeny bit of poison could kill it. But it's definitely different for humans. I know what went wrong. Wait a moment. I'll concoct a new batch for you." Lu Yong hurriedly diverted Wu Ming's attention. "Senior brother, you said that you got distracted because you were thinking about a problem. What problem is that?" Lu Yang's tactic worked, and Wu Ming pondered about his explanation. "The full name of pills is medicinal pills, And the pivotal concept lies in the word medicinal, which naturally means that it can treat people. However, fasting pills are not for the ill, so why are they also considered as medicinal pills? If fasting pills are considered medicinal pills, then medicinal pills are not just for curing illnesses. They can also be used as sustenance. But if fasting pills aren't considered medicinal pills, then what should fasting pills be considered as? Lu Yong felt that no one could come up with such a question unless they took their brain out and roasted it in the pill concoction furnace for 3 days and 3 nights. Wu Ming took out a handful of colorful jelly beans. Speaking of fasting pills, the only thing that mortals can eat is fasting pills. There are all sorts of flavors: strawberry, apple, and watermelon. Do you want some? There's no poison. Recalling how the king of hell was eagerly waiting for himself, Lu Yong didn't accept Wu Ming's gift. Many people on Pill Cauldron Peak practice concocting pills. No matter who they are, it'll at least be safer than with senior brother Wu Ming. Junior brother, remember to look for me whenever you need pills. It's free of charge. Wu Ming enthusiastically waved goodbye to Lu Yong. The latter only hastened his limping pace. The next day, upon hearing about Lu Yang's misfortune, 7th Elder of the Pill Cauldron Peak sent Lu Yong authentic pills that could truly cure a mortal and a gourd of fasting pills. Lu Yong recovered completely. In the upcoming month, Lu Yong led a fulfilling life, revolving around the scripture library, Impartation Peak, and his cave abode. He zealously absorbed cultivation knowledge he had never encountered before, just like a traveler in the desert finally discovering a clear spring. After 1 month, everyone successfully became disciples of the various elders. Meng Jingzhou was under 3rd Elder. Mangu was under 4th Elder. Li Haoran with the Fire Spirit Root was under 5th Elder. And Tao Yaoye with the Metamorphic Immortal Physique was under 6th Elder. This came as surprising news to Lu Yong. He had thought that Mangu would join Meng Jingzhou to become 3rd Elder's disciple, because 3rd Elder was renowned in the cultivation world for being a physique cultivator no one would dare to engage in hand-to-hand combat with. With the blood of the ancient barbarian tribe flowing within him, Mangu would be best suited to receive the guidance of 3rd Elder. On the other hand, 4th Elder was a Confucian cultivator well-versed in scholarly knowledge rather than brute strength, so he didn't know why Mangu had chosen 4th Elder as his master. 5th Elder specialized in crafting weapons, which made him suitable for Li Haoran considering his fire spirit root. Lu Yong had never met 6th Elder, but he heard that she was a captivating beauty who possessed an immortal physique similar to Tao Yaoye's. However, Mangu's choice was not the most glaring. In fact, it was Lu Yong. The latter would be a disciple of the mysterious sect leader. Having heard that the sect leader was leading a carefree life and hadn't taken in a disciple for more than 100 years, the disciples were bewildered. They didn't understand why the sect leader would want to have Lu Yong as his disciple despite still being in seclusion. Under everyone's envious gazes, Lu Yong followed Yun Zhi to Heaven Gate's peak, where the sect leader was. At the summit of Heaven's Gate Peak, Lu Yong sat upright in the innate hall, waiting respectfully for his master to arrive. The hall was desolate and quiet, with not a speck of dust to be seen. Wisps of incense smoke spiraled upwards, calming one's heart. Lu Yong noticed 3 plaques enshrined in the hall, dedicated to the innate Taoist priest, the primordial heavenly sovereign, and the vast sea Taoist lord respectively. He knew all 3 of them. They held special meaning to the Dao-Seeking Sect. 120,000 years ago, the innate Taoist priest left his Taoist temple and founded his own sect, the Dao-Seeking Sect. At that time, he was just a nondescript cultivator among tens of thousands other cultivators on the central continent. As such, the Dao-Seeking Sect was only a small sect at its inception. 100,000 years ago, the world was plunged into chaos, and an extraordinary genius emerged from the Dao-Seeking Sect. Although his talent couldn't be classified as the top 50, he had the brains, network, spirit of loyalty, and also a mysterious luck. He rose to the top during this turbulent time, standing at the forefront of this era with unmatched cultivation. His honorific title was the Primordial Heavenly Sovereign. Under the Primordial Heavenly Sovereign's leadership, the Dao-Seeking Sect flourished, becoming one of the largest sections. During the sect's 20,000th anniversary, many friends came to celebrate. He then took this opportunity to establish the title of the 5 great immortal sects, along with 4 other top-notch cultivators, earning recognition from the masses. Nothing lasts forever. There is no eternal glory. Another 50,000 years passed, and the Dao-Seeking Sect had weakened. The seniors in the sect were either approaching the end of their lives or had met untimely deaths, leaving few to manage the sect. They also lacked promising disciples, falling into an awkward situation where they could not make ends meet. And there were even rumors that the Dao-Seeking Sect would lose its status as one of the 5 great immortal sects. Perhaps there was really a mysterious luck blessing the Dao-Seeking Sect. One day, when a senior was out slaying demons, they rescued a child from the ruins and brought the child back to the sect, only to discover that the child was actually a rare cultivation genius. The child did not disappoint, rapidly advancing in cultivation. In several years, the child had already become the strongest transcendent tribulation cultivator of that time. This child's title was the Vast Sea Taoist Lord, and the child was later addressed as the Dao-Seeking Sect's resurgence ancestor for extending the sect's glory for another 50,000 years until today. Big Senior Sister, where is our Shifu? Lu Yong had waited for half a day but had yet to see someone else apart from Yun Zhi. Shifu is still in seclusion and has reached a critical juncture, so he can't leave. I will take you in as a disciple on his behalf and guide you in the ways of cultivation. Before you officially start cultivating, let me briefly introduce our sect to you. Shifu has very few rules. As long as you don't go overboard, violate ethical norms, or cause public outrage, he wouldn't care. But I have slightly stricter standards. What he doesn't care about, I will. There are a total of 4 disciples under Shifu. Apart from you and me, you have a senior brother and a senior sister. They are in the Buddhist kingdom in the west and the demon region in the south, respectively. They hardly return to the sect, so it'll be hard to meet them. When you have progressed in your cultivation and have the chance to travel around, you may have the chance to meet them. As for now, Yun Zhi paused and took out 3 ink paintings, revealing Lu Yang's master, 2nd senior brother, and 3rd senior sister, all whom he had never met before. The 3 people were smiling extremely brightly in the paintings. Lu Yang's master had white hair, but his gaze wasn't clouded like most other elderly. Instead, he seemed more like an otherworldly expert who liked to frolic around in the mundane world. His 2nd senior brother bore a gentle and kind demeanor with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His 3rd senior sister was charming from all angles, a beauty capable of causing the downfall of a nation. Including you, there are altogether 5 people in our house. As there are only 2 of us during your initiation ceremony, it will be too lonely. So Shifu had specifically instructed to have all 3 of their paintings prepared to represent their presence. Lu Yong looked at Yun Zhi, then glanced at the surrounding lifelike black and white paintings that seemed to be staring right into his soul. An inexplicable chill ran down his spine. It's as if our whole sect has sacrificed themselves for the greater good, leaving only me and Big Senior Sister behind. 3 spirit incense sticks suddenly appeared before Lu Yong, handed to him by Yun Zhi. These are message incense. They can convey your thoughts. Light 3 incense for Shifu, and it will pass on your feelings of gratitude and respect. The 3 spirit incense were lit and inserted in a small censer before their master's painting. Ancestors, please bear witness. Shifu above us, please accept a bow from your disciple. The uncanny resemblance is stronger now. After the initiation ceremony was over, Lu Yong hesitatingly asked, Big Senior Sister, it may be disrespectful of me to ask, but Shifu is indeed still alive, right? Lu Yong was afraid that Yun Zhi would laugh grimly and tell him that he had stumbled across a highly confidential secret about the sect leader's passing, and he would be silenced. On the other hand, Yun Zhi was bewildered by Lu Yang's question. Of course, he's still alive. I have seen your exam results on Impartation Peak. You remembered the positions of the acupoints and meridians very accurately, and you could also recite the basic inner cultivation methods from memory. Such dedication is commendable. Now, we will officially begin with your cultivation. Lu Yong beamed with excitement and listened even more intently. I can finally start cultivating. Before starting, Yun Zhi said, It's my first time teaching a disciple, and it's your first time being one. Both of us can adapt accordingly. That said, you don't have to be too worried. I have made ample preparations for today." Yun Zhi laid out various small medicinal jars in a row, each labeled with the names of pills Lu Yang had heard of before. White bone pill. Pills capable of reviving a person and regenerating flesh even when they have turned into white bones. 7-story pagoda pills. Part of the life-saving pill series the Buddhist kingdom had invented for accumulating merits. Every person who took a 7-story pagoda pill would allow the Buddhist kingdom to gain an instance of merit. 9-round reincarnation pills. There was a saying in the cultivation world that 9 rounds of reincarnation can be exchanged for 1 life. With these pills, it would be hard even if Lu Yang wanted to die. Qi training starts with tempering the body. Since you have not been exposed to body refining training, we'll start from 0. Yun Zhi casually tore through space with a wave of her hand and took out 2 large vats of water from her storage space. Hearing a dull thud as the vats hit the ground, Lu Yang felt his heart skip a bit as an ominous feeling washed over him. A sword cultivator is particular about sword intent and arm strength, so an important goal from your body refinement is to train your arm strength. I'll only demonstrate once. Watch closely. Yun Zhi stepped on the edges of both vats as if she was standing on flat ground. With one of her hands grasping the edge of one vat, she effortlessly lifted it up and let go. Before the vat fell to the ground, she used her other hand to grab the vat's edge again. She kept repeating this so seamlessly that it was a feast for the eyes. Ignoring the strain on the arms, this method can indeed train one's arm strength. "This is all you have to do," Yun Zhi nonchalantly said as she put down the vat. Lu Yang gulped his saliva in fear. "I don't need to carry it to know that this vat is half a person's height and is more than enough to stuff me inside. Fill sand on top of me and have me buried in the ground. Playing with such big vats is akin to playing with my life." Lu Yang strode forward, took in a deep breath of air, and lifted a vat with a single hand, all his actions fluid. It didn't budge. He tried again with both hands, exerting all his strength. Only then did the vat reluctantly rock a little, signifying that Lu Yang was really trying his best. "This water vat can't be less than 200 jin. No matter how much I enjoyed playing in the mountains since I was a kid, from climbing trees and swimming in rivers to catching birds and fish, I still can't lift such a heavy vat." Yun Zhi drew a talisman on the water vat, causing the weight to suddenly decrease to one manageable for Lu Yang to lift with one hand. Then, she took out a puppet to supervise Lu Yang. "Try lifting it for a day and we'll see the results." Leaving this offhand comment, Yun Zhi had already vanished into the clouds. Lu Yang's eyes met with the puppet's. Letting out a sigh, he tied his shirt around his waist and began his grueling life of lifting vats. Every time Lu Yang took a rest for too long, the puppet would immediately urge him to resume lifting, squeezing every bit of strength out of him. When Lu Yang's arms had no strength, the puppet would feed him 2 strong restorative pills. When Lu Yang's arms were too sore to move, the puppet would feed him 2 strong restorative pills. When Lu Yang was so tired he wanted to sleep, the puppet would feed him 2 strong restorative pills. By the end of the day, Lu Yang's legs were wobbly, and his arms hung limp, completely numb. When he swayed his body to the left, his left arm would swing like a pendulum. When he swayed his body to the right, his right arm also swung, and then he collapsed to the ground with a thud. The puppet fed him 2 strong restorative pills as usual. Seeing no reaction from Lu Yang, the puppet could only end the day's training. It found a small cart to push Lu Yang back, even covering him with a straw mat like one would for a corpse. With the aroma of food wafting into Lu Yang's nose, he began to drool and slowly regain his consciousness. "I can finally eat." Lu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. "If I still didn't get to eat, I would think that I didn't join a cultivation sect but rather serving my time in a water prison for committing a heinous crime." As the sect leader's disciple, food was not a concern. He didn't have to take fasting pills every day, and delicacies made from unknown and rare ingredients silently improved his body. But Lu Yang still couldn't lift his arms at all and had to be fed by the puppet. Yun Zhi brewed an enormous pot of body-fortifying liquid medicine and had Lu Yang bathe in it. The spirit medicinal smell in the air almost knocked him out. Hold this. Yun Zhi passed a hollow reed straw. This is? When you soak in the body-fortifying liquid medicine, you need to submerge your entire body. But when you bathe, your head will definitely be out of the water. Later on, you can bite the reed straw and breathe when you submerge your head inside. As expected of big senior sister, she is truly attentive. Even if it's torture, it's still for my own good. After Yun Zhi left, Lu Yang stripped himself of his clothes, bit the reed straw, and jumped into the wooden bucket. Following that, a blood-curdling scream filled the air, as if a pig had been slaughtered. Big senior sister, you use boiling water to bathe? Yun Zhi arrived at a small courtyard. A gentle breeze blew away the lingering medicinal bath scent on her. She began to ponder whether she had overlooked anything. Having grown up in a family of cultivators, everyone she met was a cultivator. After joining the Dao-Seeking Sect, she concentrated on cultivating and hardly interacted with the mundane world, so her understanding of mortals was limited. In order to teach Lu Yang, she had specially sourced for numerous books depicting mortals. While Lu Yang was studying basic cultivation knowledge, she was studying basic mortal knowledge. However, it was clear that these books did not mention the temperature of mortals' bathwater. Hearing Lu Yang's hoarse scream, Yun Zhi contemplated for a bit. It's too late to reduce the water's temperature now. In that case, I can only… Yun Zhi took a bottle of burn ointment from her sleeve. She placed it outside the door and knocked. Little junior brother, I have left burn ointment outside the door. Remember to use it. Time passed, and through the forced relentless training, spirit beast meat, and specially crafted medicinal bath, Lu Yang finally transformed from an ordinary mortal to an excellent street performer with burned and peeling skin and adept at handling vats. 3 water vats, each weighing 200 pounds, were tossed around like sandbags by Lu Yang, forming an arc in the air. Lu Yang could even step on the vat's edges, spinning in circles and tracing the footwork of the bagua steps as if he was on flat ground. Upon laying the vats flat on the ground, he was still steady when stepping on the rolling vats. He even had the extra capacity to juggle 3 other vats. Just this technique of his would draw cheers from the crowd on the street. Not bad. Your progress with refining the body is even faster than I expected. Yun Zhi clapped lightly, giving Lu Yang an immense confidence boost. Despite rarely being present, Yun Zhi had actually been observing Lu Yang's progress all this while. Lu Yang placed the vats down and asked in excitement, "Can I cultivate now?" He quietly waited for the answer, not even daring to breathe out. During this period, Meng Jingzhou had looked for him but was quickly chased away by the puppet before he could say much. Lu Yang heard that Meng Jingzhou, Man Gu, and the others from his batch had already drawn qi into their bodies, becoming true cultivators. They would sit meditatively and cultivate every day, transcending the mundane world. He was the only one still struggling to refine his body. He couldn't help but feel anxious, worried that he would fall behind. Yun Zhi did not answer him but took out a piece of tofu from her storage space instead. The tofu was extremely soft, jiggling on Yun Zhi's palm as if it was a balloon filled with water. "Face your palm down and grab it." Lu Yang thought that there was nothing hard about it and followed her instructions. However, as soon as his fingers twitched slightly, the tofu got crushed and fell to the ground. Yun Zhi passed another tofu to Lu Yang, indicating for him to continue. Lu Yang was highly skeptical. The first time was just an accident, the second time will surely be fine. However, he still squashed the tofu, unable to hold it. When he failed yet again the third time, Lu Yang figured out the problem. His strength was overwhelming to control, and he hadn't realized it previously because all the items around him were designed for cultivators. Had they been normal items, he would even have to be careful while eating, lest he snap the chopsticks into half and break the bowls into smithereens. Furthermore, his strength had grown too quickly, and his mind still couldn't keep up with his body, resulting in the problem of his fingers twitching every now and then. Thus, it was not an easy feat for him to grab something as soft as tofu. Yun Zhi stopped passing pieces of tofu to Lu Yang. With her palm face down, she grabbed a tofu and shook it casually, but it just wouldn't fall apart. Suddenly, she let go and the tofu fell, but she grabbed hold of the tofu again at lightning speed. Lu Yong widened his eyes. Catching a falling tofu? That's easier said than done. With Yun Zhi's strength, the soft tofu was no different from a block of metal and could be manipulated as she liked. You have already achieved lifting heavy like light, but you still have a long road ahead to mastering lifting light like heavy. Lu Yong kept silent. He knew that he was still far from the completion of refining his body. I can't be too impatient with cultivation. Meng Jingzhou had his family clan teaching him since he was a child. That's why he can directly cultivate. Catching up with them will certainly not be easy. Despite having no one to guide me in my early years, I am able to receive personal guidance from Big Senior Sister and even the help of natural treasures. My growth is already astonishing. What reason do I have not to be content? Lu Yong even recalled what Yun Zhi had mentioned before. She said that cultivation is a lifelong endeavor. A momentary advantage or disadvantage doesn't matter. The most important thing is who has the last laugh. Taking in 2 deep breaths, Lu Yong realized that his previous mindset was wrong. He quickly adjusted his attitude and told himself not to only pursue rapid progress in cultivation. Then, he saw Yun Zhi instructing the puppet to push over a trolley of tofu. When Lu Yong trained his strength, he could consume spirit beast meat to boost his strength and soak in medicinal baths to reinforce his body. However, when it came to controlling his strength, there was no external cheat. He had only himself to rely on. The whole process required immense concentration. Using Big Senior Sister's words, I need to find the right feeling and use my body rather than my psyche to control my strength. What Lu Yong had to do was to naturally catch the tofu without any deliberate effort. After one whole day ended, Lu Yong was covered with the fishy smell of tofu. His eyes had focused on the tofu for so long that his eyes nearly became crossed. Fortunately, the experienced puppet came over to give him 2 slaps, returning his eyes to normal. When it was time to eat, Lu Yong stared silently at the table full of tofu dishes. Stir-fried tofu, deep-fried tofu, steamed tofu, tofu pudding, soy tofu boiled in soy milk. All the ingredients were the tofu Lu Yong crushed during the day. He even heard that the tofu pudding and soy milk were gifted by the warm-hearted shop owner. Lu Yong thanked all 8 generations of his ancestors. The dishes will remain the same until I can control my strength. In other words, between me and tofu, one of us will definitely be finished. Tofu was not an ordinary food. Long-term consumption could regulate a cultivator's balance of the 5 elements, prolonging their breaths and increasing their stamina during a battle. These were just a few out of the countless other benefits. But no one can stand eating tofu every single day. Lu Yong had no choice but to dig into his meal, pondering about how he could better control his strength the next day. While still in his slumber, Lu Yong felt a dazzling white light shining on his face, causing his eyelids to stick together and form a contorted expression. Only until he had gradually adapted to the strong light did he try to open his eyes. He found himself in an immaculately white space. His surroundings were filled with thick fog, limiting his visibility to only a small area around him. But Lu Yong couldn't find the source of the light. Where is this place? Lu Yong was a little frantic. I'm sleeping right in the Dao-Seeking Sect, where numerous experts congregate, and Big Senior Sister is just next door. Who could have stealthily pulled me into this mysterious space? Are they a friend or a foe? An imposing voice emitted from within the fog, distant like it had traveled from the ancient past and dwelled in the river of time. Young man, this is a temporary space built by yours truly. No one can detect it. Lu Yang's chest tightened. The other party's methods were unimaginable. He could only hope that they didn't bear any ill intention toward him. I have witnessed the ancient times and seen many experts with unrivaled cultivation, but not a single one of them could escape from the erosion of time. Their passion and ardent desire to overcome challenges ultimately wound up in a final sigh before their last breath. No matter how peerless they had been, I remain carefree and exist eternally. The voice sounded hoarse from the vicissitudes of life, carrying a hint of weariness from everything returning to nothingness. The existence of this unparalleled expert was beyond Lu Yang's imagination. The expert continued, I had a sudden whim today to do a quick divination, and I calculated that you and I are fated. So I summoned your soul to this temporary space to receive my legacy. This space contains all the cultivation techniques required from the Qi training stage to the transcendent tribulation stage. It comprises pills, secret manuals, cultivation insights, and more. Every time you reach a stage, you'll be able to unlock a part of my legacy. Lu Yong let out a breath of relief. The other party seems friendly. He cupped his fists and asked politely, "Who are you, senior?" The senior laughed 3 times before strolling out from within the fog. His face was white, his skin was fair, and his head was a block of tofu. Senior Tofu came closer, speaking faster. "I am the Tofu Heavenly Sovereign. This is my life's learning. The more tofu you eat, the faster your cultivation will rise. With a solid foundation, you can then challenge those above your level and embrace women left and right. Reaching the peak of this continent will be no problem at all." Frightened until cold sweat broke out, Lu Yang's eyes jolted open. He sat up on his bed and surveyed his surroundings blankly. Only upon confirming that there was nothing but darkness and silence did he heave a sigh of relief. So it was all just a dream. Luckily, it was a dream. Lu Yong could still feel his back soaked in cold sweat, fear lingering in his heart. Yun Zhi slowly opened her eyes, a blue light from Lu Yang's room returning to her fingertip. She mumbled to herself, "Now, he will probably train even harder." Shifu had said that appropriate pressure can be translated to motivation and encourage one to become even more determined to succeed. Yun Zhi herself was a successful example, so she believed that her master's words made a lot of sense. As such, she used the dream-entering technique to give Lu Yong a teeny-weeny bit of pressure. The lines provided by 8th Elder are a bit embarrassing. I wonder how he usually manages to say them. Yun Zhi was adept at consulting others. All the steps and lines played out in the dreamscape were written by 8th Elder. 8th Elder assured me that it'd be effective. Some time passed again. Yun Zhi noted that Lu Yong could now effortlessly grab tofu, throw it high up, and even catch it firmly. He even used the tofu as a sandbag, tossing it back and forth with the puppet. It was as if the smooth and soft tofu had become a part of his body. "You have achieved lifting light as if heavy. This phase shall end." Lu Yong smiled. After relentless practice of grabbing tofu, his impatience had also gradually settled down. "I am no longer the old me. I need no inner cultivation method or mantra to do this. What do you want to train next?" Lu Yong no longer aimed to have the same amount of progress as his peers. "I believe that Big Senior Sister must have her reasons for planning my current arrangements in such a manner." A rare faint smile graced Yun Zhi's countenance. "Reinforce your Qi training stage cultivation." Lu Yong was stunned and pointed to himself. "Qi training stage? Me?" He didn't know when he had turned into a Qi training cultivator. Didn't the book say that to succeed in drawing Qi into the body, one must receive guidance from seniors, learn their cultivation techniques, shut off the 5 senses and organize the meridians? For those with poorer talent, they would even need the assistance of pills. I haven't met a single one of these criteria. Yun Zhi had not taught him how to draw Qi into his body, and neither had she passed on any astonishing cultivation techniques. Moreover, he had not closed off his senses and the unknown 6th sense. As for his meridians, he had no memory of having organized it before. Dao-Seeking Sect disciples didn't require pills to draw Qi into the body. They were all 1 in 1,000 geniuses. If they still required the help of pills to enter the Qi training stage, it would be better for them to withdraw from the sect instead. Lu Yong believed that he couldn't use pills, but he was bewildered why he had suddenly attained the Qi training stage. "The early morning 3 days ago," Yun Zhi hinted. The memory suddenly came to Lu Yong. That day he had woken up very early. Facing the light at dawn with his eyes closed, he ruminated about how he could successfully grab the tofu. As his thoughts wandered deeper, he gradually lost awareness of his surroundings, as if he had transformed into a rising wisp of air floating between the heavens and the earth. After that, his consciousness grew heavy and returned to his body. At that moment, he felt a wave of enlightenment wash over him, and vaguely felt like there was warm air flowing in his dantian. It was also then that he successfully grabbed the tofu for the first time. He remembered that Yun Zhi was not present when he was practicing grabbing tofu. So all this while, Big Senior Sister has been observing me from somewhere. It seems like that feeling was me drawing qi into the body. Lu Yang mumbled, caught up in his own thoughts. That feeling was really amazing. It felt like I was in the clouds and enveloped in warmth. It was so comfortable that I didn't want to open my eyes. Without him noticing, he had already achieved a tiny wish of his, drawing qi into the body and becoming a qi training cultivator. Most cultivators were at the qi training stage. As such, cultivators adopted the practice of dividing this stage into 9 levels, while the more advanced cultivation stages were classified into 3 classes: basic, intermediate, and advanced. Only the Dao-Seeking Sect was different. The qi training stage was merely an entry-level threshold for disciples. Why bother separating the most basic step into smaller levels? Lu Yang was curious. Do others also draw qi into their body like this? If everyone trained like this, why is my progress the slowest? Yun Zhi shook her head. This is the original cultivation method by the ancient forebears. Connecting with nature, they achieved the harmonious state of heaven and man as one, drawing spirit qi into their body and swiftly becoming cultivators. The earliest cultivation naturally required neither guidance from a senior nor secret manuals. It was all about constant enlightenment and trial and error with their bodies. She continued, as for your meridians, they had been fully opened during your medicinal baths, and now spirit qi runs freely. Under the state of heaven and man as one, the spirit qi will flow through your body according to your feelings. This path of qi flow will be best suited for you, surpassing any other cultivation techniques. The cultivation world liked to split the cultivation techniques into 5 ranks: yellow, black, earth, heaven, immortal. However, Yun Zhi only recognized 2 types of techniques: techniques that were suitable for oneself and techniques not suitable for oneself. None of the existing cultivation techniques were designed for you at their creation. There are many cultivation techniques that are suitable for a sword spirit root. In fact, I have a whole box with me, but they're all not suitable for you. From today onward, I will be assigning you a long-term task: create your own cultivation technique. When Yun Zhi spoke of creating one's own technique, she hadn't meant for Lu Yang to figure it out alone. She intended to guide him by his side. Even then, the challenges within were apparent. Creating cultivation techniques was something only the elders in the cultivation world were capable of doing. Lu Yang's mouth twitched. The seniors who create cultivation techniques are of such high positions. They have the knowledge of all cultivation stages at their fingertips. That's how they are qualified to create cultivation techniques. As for me, I'm just a novice who just drew qi into my body. Isn't that too? Yun Zhi cut Lu Yang off before he could complain further. Creating cultivation techniques isn't as hard as you think. Did you know that the Dao-Seeking Sect has a rule that after every disciple reaches the foundation establishment stage, they must complete missions issued by the Great Mission Hall to fulfill their obligations as part of the righteous path? Lu Yang nodded. He had heard about it. Other sects had similar systems, requiring their disciples to complete missions. After all, sects were not places for idlers. Only by contributing to the sect could one demonstrate their value. However, the 5 great immortal sects were different. They requested that disciples issue missions not for contributing to the sect but rather the righteous path. Having the 5 great immortal sects as the leader of the righteous path was not just for show. Most missions require people to go down the mountain to exterminate demons and devils, exorcise ghosts, and more. I don't like the feeling of the mundane world, so I chose another method to finish the missions. What was it? There is a fixed task in the Great Mission Hall: introduce a new cultivation technique that doesn't exist in the Dao-Seeking Sect's records. That also counts as completing a mission. Then Big Senior Sister, you? Lu Yang had a bold and seemingly ridiculous thought. Yun Zhi continued, so to complete the mission, I created many cultivation techniques myself and lied to them that I found them in ancient cave ruins. Unfortunately, I got caught later. How did that happen? Asked Lu Yang. Because according to my reports, I had already explored all the ancient cave ruins. I didn't know how to make up the next location. See, creating cultivation techniques isn't difficult. Yun Zhi presented her argument logically and convincingly. Lu Yong opened his mouth, wanting to say, "Big senior sister, I thought you were an honest person. I didn't expect you to lie too," or "Big senior sister, we ordinary folks can't compare to your peerless talent," or "What you call creating techniques is what I call making up techniques." Faced with Yun Zhi's cold gaze, everything Lu Yong wanted to say was condensed into one sentence. "You are right, big senior sister. You may have become a cultivator now, but you're still far from becoming a qualified sword cultivator. Take this book." Yun Zhi handed him an ancient book made from the hide of some unknown demon beast. It was large, thick, and heavy. Accounts of the demon region? Lu Yong opened the book and was assaulted by a wave of baleful aura. All kinds of demon beasts seemed to leap off the pages, and he could vaguely hear their roars in his ears. This ancient book is absolutely priceless. Lu Yong pondered. Sword cultivators need sword intent. I've just arrived at the chi training stage. How do I cultivate sword intent? He had heard that ancient sword cultivators had been enlightened and developed their first sword intent in the moment between life and death during battles with demon beasts. The answer was now clear. He needed to observe demon beasts, comprehend their ferocity, and encapsulate his enlightenment from experiences with a myriad of demon beasts to discover his own unique sword intent. Although this method was difficult, it was suitable for someone with a sword spirit root like himself. It also shows big senior sister's high expectations for me. I've understood everything. Lu Yong nodded. Yun Zhi glanced at Lu Yong, unsure of what he had just understood. Nonetheless, she waved her hand, and the puppet brought over another card of tofu. As long as you understand, becoming a sword cultivator requires the word precise. Hold this Qingfeng sword properly. Then use the sharp end to carve the tofu into the design of demon beasts. All the demon beasts' appearances are documented inside the book. From her storage space, Yun Zhi took out a gleaming sword with the characters Qingfeng engraved on the hilt. Lu Yong was speechless. Tofu again? Could it be that the dream I had last night wasn't a nightmare but a prophetic dream, hinting that my future Taoist title would be Tofu Heavenly Sovereign? Damn it, I can't have such thoughts. Lu Yong quickly banished the dreadful thought from his mind. He took the Qingfeng sword, and his first impression was how light it felt. Actually, it wasn't that the Qingfeng sword was too light. On the contrary, it was too heavy for cultivators in the first 3 levels of the chi training stage. They wouldn't even be able to lift it. But Lu Yong was different. After his training with the water vats, his strength had grown beyond his own imagination. To say it proudly, he didn't need any techniques. A simple punch from him could easily defeat a cultivator at the first 3 levels of the chi training stage. Perhaps because he had entered the chi training stage, his talent in swordsmanship began to show. Combined with his newly acquired ability to lift light as if heavy, Lu Yong used the Qingfeng sword with ease. In just over 10 days, Lu Yong was able to carve demon beast shapes out of tofu, as well as figures of himself and Yun Zhi. He could even carve the 9 lotus-shaped mountain peaks of the Dao-Seeking Sect. Following in the footsteps of folk performers, Lu Yong had learned a new skill, which he could also showcase in the kitchen. However, he had no choice but to speed up. He simply couldn't eat any more tofu. After completing this phase, Yun Zhi appeared and offered him some encouragement. Then, she took out a single white sesame seed. Sword cultivators also need to train their eyesight. Now, I'll throw the sesame seed into the tofu dregs. You need to find it within the shortest time possible. Lu Yong fell to his knees with a thud and implored, "Big senior sister, can we try a different method?" Yun Zhi looked at Lu Yong placidly, her eyes unwavering. "Oh, okay." Ever since then, Lu Yong led a rather fulfilling life. In the early mornings, he would sit at the mountain summit, sitting in a meditative state as he basked in the light of dawn. Later in the mornings, he would put his heart into honing his sword techniques. At noon, he would find himself a tree branch and take a brief nap. When afternoon came around, he would be pumped with energy as he sparred with the puppet and got beaten up. After dinner, he would finish the homework Yun Zhi assigned him by the candlelight. Just like that, A year had passed, and Lu Yang's cultivation had steadily risen. Look, isn't that the sect leader's fourth disciple, Sword Spirit Root Lu Yang? Inside the great mission hall, Lu Yang was especially conspicuous. He donned white robes and his gaze was bright. By his waist was a sword, and its hilt had a red tassel tied to it. Anyone who saw him would inevitably praise that he was a fine, talented young man. Many disciples in the Dao-Seeking Sect knew one another, especially in a place like the Great Mission Hall where they would sometimes encounter people they didn't see as often. They would often make a comment or two out of curiosity. Not only was Lu Yang the top performer in the entrance trials, he also possessed a sword spirit root, provoked the good-natured river spirit and Dai Bufan, became a disciple of the sect leader, and received the personal guidance of Yun Zhi. With this myriad of reasons, he stood out among the new cohort of disciples and had gained considerable fame. Despite Tao Yaoya's celestial-like beauty, she couldn't compare to Lu Yang. Lu Yang, the one personally taught by Big Senior Sister? Dang, it really is him. I heard that it has been a year since he joined the sect, and he just became a Foundation Establishment cultivator a few days ago. Already at the Foundation Establishment stage? No wonder he's here at the Great Mission Hall. He is probably going to accept a mission to train and get some experience. Lu Yang was no longer a stranger to surrounding gazes that viewed him as if he were a rare and precious breed of animal. The senior brothers are right. I successfully reached the Foundation Establishment stage 7 days ago. Then I used 7 more days to reinforce my cultivation before officially emerging from my seclusion. I'm now here according to Big Senior Sister's instructions to go out more. Lu Yang couldn't help but exclaim as he took in the multitude of missions available in the Great Mission Hall, from slaying murderous old fusion devils to searching for cats and dogs. A mission that caught Lu Yang's attention requested a dual cultivation technique. A proper one. There were 2 types of dual cultivation techniques, proper and improper ones. Proper dual cultivation techniques needed no further explanation. They were for the purpose of having a male and female helping each other to balance their yin and yang. Improper dual cultivation techniques needed even less of an explanation. The mission was posted by a fox demon who had registered with the Dao-Seeking Sect. Although the Dao-Seeking Sect's responsibilities included subduing demons and devils, it wasn't done indiscriminately. When it came to the innocent demons who had no ill intentions toward humans, the Dao-Seeking Sect would not subdue them but instead let them register with the sect and be conferred a legal status. This fox demon was one of them. Her name was Su Yan, and she was an ordinary little fox living in the old mountains and forests. While playing, she got caught in a hunter's trap. Fortunately, a young noble had gone to the mountains to play and managed to rescue her, successfully wasting the hunter's efforts for the day. Later, Su Yan consumed a transformation fruit in a hidden mountain cave. It activated the bloodline in her, and she became a fox demon. She was a grateful one, so she transformed into human form and went to repay that scion. Although the young master was now the head of the family and had come across numerous women, none of them were as beautiful as Su Yan. As such, the two naturally got married. However, a problem soon arose. As the fox demon was born with a charming constitution, she would uncontrollably absorb yang energy. When both husband and wife engaged in bedroom affairs, the husband would always be drained of his yang energy. The good news was that yang energy could be restored, so it was not fatal as long as they reduced the frequency of their bedroom affairs. Another problem arose. The two were newlyweds, so how could they possibly be willing to regulate their bedroom affairs? However, if the frequency was too high, the husband would gradually appear wan, which could easily lead to rumors. Hence, Su Yan hoped to cultivate a proper dual cultivation technique to control her charming constitution. This mission had been posted for a long time, but no one accepted it. The reason was not because dual cultivation techniques were scarce. It was because upon the completion of the mission, it would signify that the person was in possession of a proper dual cultivation technique, which would then lead to people wondering whether this person also possessed improper ones. If a senior brother asks you for improper dual cultivation techniques, what should you do? Should you say that you have them or not? Should you hand it over or not? And what would the senior and junior sisters think of you? This mission is not bad. I'm accepting it. someone behind Lu Yang declared. From the voice, it was clearly Meng Jingzhou. Meng Jingzhou was the perfect candidate for this mission. As someone from the Meng family, he certainly would have no lack of dual cultivation techniques, but with his pure yang spirit root, he would definitely not possess improper dual cultivation techniques. Even if he did, he couldn't do anything else but stare helplessly. Meng Jingzhou had reached the foundation establishment stage earlier than Lu Yang, and this was the third mission he was accepting. You're also at the foundation establishment stage? Meng Jingzhou smiled. Both of us have variant spirit roots, and our cultivation talents aren't really different. It's a bit unexpected that Lu Yang reached the foundation establishment stage later than me. Reminded of the torture from Yun Zhi the past year, Lu Yang sighed. Yes, I finally am. Once I have completed the mission, let's have a meal together. My treat. Meng Jingzhou offered generously. I have plenty of spirit stones. After Meng Jingzhou left, Lu Yang continued browsing the missions pasted on the wall, reading the information out to himself. There are signs of diabolic sacrificial rituals in the north. It is recommended that cultivators at the Golden Core stage or above head over to investigate. The mission rewards are 400 contribution points, with additional rewards for extra information. Taoist Li Hong from the Mountain Sea Pass has lost a pet and needs someone to look for it. Lu Yang paused. This seems like a decent mission. Searching for some cat or dog is not dangerous. He continued reading. The lost pet is a ferocious winged tiger at the intermediate nascent soul stage. If found, this mission rewards 5,000 contribution points. Lu Yang shrunk back. A demon beast, nascent soul stage, and on top of that, a winged ferocious tiger with an ancient bloodline. Is this where the idiom boost in power like a tiger that has grown wings came from? I am not even qualified to become the tiger's toothpick. Next. There are unusual fluctuations in spirit energy during the transition between day and night at Kunwu Mountain, suspected to be due to an undiscovered cave. It is recommended that cultivators at the advanced nascent soul stage and above head there to investigate. The mission rewards are 8,000 contribution points, and there are additional rewards should the cave turn out to be precious. Yet another mission unrelated to me. Had they been in the outside world, Qi training cultivators could wander across the Jianghu and be considered an expert. Foundation establishment cultivators could rule over a small territory and enjoy fortune for 100 years, while Golden Core cultivators could address themselves as true person Zhenren and establish their own sect. On the contrary, in the Dao-Seeking Sect, any random passerby could be a Golden Core cultivator. If one were to throw a brick into the crowd here, not only would it easily hit many of them, but the brick would also likely get thrown back. All disciples in the Dao-Seeking Sect were elites selected from 1 in 1,000. Before Lu Yang's batch of disciples, cultivators at the Qi training and foundation establishment stages did not even exist in the sect, with the lowest cultivation of disciples being the Golden Core stage. No matter how much one thrived outside, they would have to obediently play their part once they came back to the Dao-Seeking Sect. This was why there weren't many options for foundation establishment cultivators looking for a mission. The ones Lu Yang had gone through minimally required either Golden Core or nascent soul cultivation. However, he had noticed a special mission. Long-term mission, collecting cultivation techniques not yet recorded by the Dao-Seeking Sect, and the rewards will be determined based on its contents. Note: Big Senior Sister Yun Zhi, please don't accept this mission. The scripture library has already set up a Yun Zhi section. You can directly place the cultivation techniques you have scribed there. A senior male disciple beside Lu Yang had also noticed the mission the latter was looking at, and he couldn't help but chuckle. Every time I see this long-term mission, I can't help but be reminded of Big Senior Sister's illustrious achievements. Another person also commented, at that time, Big Senior Sis would scribe her own cultivation technique and pretended that they were retrieved from ancient cave ruins. After she was exposed, it caused quite a stir. I heard my Shifu mention that there is an ancient cave ruin in Lingnan called Sisui Cave Domain, and the most precious treasure is the cultivation technique Primal Chaos Daybreak Mantra, left behind by the master of the cave domain. Big Senior Sister once lied that she found the book in the Sisui Cave Domain, and successfully mastering the technique could let one slice through the primal chaos and perceive all truths in this world. Not long after her lie was exposed, someone happened to pass through the many dangers and arrived at the depths of the Sisui cave domain. They managed to obtain the real book. In the end, when our sect compared the two versions, they found that the real cultivation technique wasn't as easy to adopt as Big Senior Sister's one, and the difference in results were like heaven and earth. After that, they continued to discover many cultivation secret manuals in the cave domain. For every cultivation technique that had a similar name, they were all not as powerful as Big Senior Sister's version. When the elders learned of this, they fell silent for quite a few days. Lu Yong had no words to describe his emotion. He had not seen the Yun Zhi section at the scripture library. It is probably because the cultivation techniques written by Big Senior Sister are out of this world, so they are stored at the highest level in the scripture library. Only those with special access can browse and try to cultivate with them. In other words, they're forbidden. Big Senior Sister's talent is unparalleled and rare even in ancient times. She is capable of dominating the world and also has a heart with magnanimity. Otherwise, everyone wouldn't be saying that it's a good thing that the sect leader is in seclusion and Big Senior Sister is the acting sect leader. I even heard a rumor that Big Senior Sister has the sect leader imprisoned because she wants to seize the position for herself. She even holds secrets of the 8 elders, and the higher-ups don't dare to retaliate. Someone heard weeping sounds from Heaven's Gate Peak at night. That comes from the underground dungeon the sect leader is in. Ha ha ha. That's complete nonsense. Lu Yong didn't take those remarks to heart and continued searching for suitable missions. At long last, he found one where he met the criteria. According to the people of Taiping Village in Tsuha Commandery, a bird-type demon beast that can speak human words has appeared. Its exact breed is presently unknown, and there are currently no records of it harming people or using demon powers. We would like to request for a Taoist from the Dao-Seeking Sect to take care of this demon bird. After contemplating for a moment, Lu Yong decided to accept this mission. From the description, it seems like either a demon beast has accidentally intruded upon human territory or happened to obtain immortal affinity and gain spiritual intelligence. This type of demon beasts usually don't have cultivation past the foundation establishment stage, and neither are they very aggressive. They may even be friendly toward humans. This mission is made for newbies like myself. The rewards also corroborated Lu Yang's analysis. 30 contribution points, the lowest number of points. Mission rewards were first calculated by a specialist in the Dao-Seeking Sect, then gone through approval by another person for double assurance, so there were hardly any errors. The lower the rewards, the simpler the mission. Lu Yong went to the reception. Senior brother, I would like to accept this mission to resolve the bird-type demon beast issue. I would like to accept the mission to resolve the bird-type demon beast issue, someone else said almost simultaneously. It was a young girl clad in a light pink dress. She had fair skin and was as alluring as blooming peach blossoms. Sweet and beautiful. Foundation establishment stage just like me. It's her. Junior sister Tao Yaoye. What a coincidence. Lu Yong smiled. He had only seen Tao Yaoye when he just joined the sect, but staying at Heaven's Gate Peak had resulted in him rarely meeting outsiders. As Lu Yong was the top performer during the entrance trials, he would be this cohort's senior brother until new rankings were released. Actually, it wasn't a coincidence that Tao Yaoye had picked the same mission. In the first place, there weren't many missions suitable for foundation establishment cultivators. Senior brother Lu, congratulations on reaching foundation establishment. There aren't many missions for our cultivation stage, so why don't we complete it together and split the rewards evenly? Tao Yaoye smiled sweetly. She was a little curious about this senior brother who rarely appeared in public. Lu Yong gladly agreed. Going on missions was not simply about the rewards. What they valued more was the experience gained during the process. Tsuha Commandery is quite far from here. Why don't we take a flying vessel? Junior sister Tao Yaoye, did you know that us humans are a contradictory species? What we fear is what we admire. I heard that in ancient times where demons and devils roamed the world and calamities were endless, humans were weak and struggling to survive. Those great demons relied on the bloodline of their ancient ancestors, their robust bodies, and remarkable talents to rule the wildlands despotically. The humans were afraid of the great demons, viewing them as natural disasters that couldn't be resisted, but at the same time, they also admired them, hoping to obtain power like them. That was how our ancient forefathers developed cultivation techniques and learned extraordinary magical powers from the ancient beast's bloodline. They surmounted challenges after challenges and stood towering above all on the continent, finally carving out a new world for the humans. Let's take another example: wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. Although the ancient people were scared of them, they also looked up to them. They represented the mighty forces of nature and its unassailable will. Despite that, humans hoped to obtain such power. They asked the heavens and faced the thunders, achieving enlightenment through the wind and rain. From comprehending the philosophy of earth follows heaven, heaven follows Tao, Tao follows nature, they developed countless Taoist and cultivation techniques. Do you see? Such a contradictory mindset is essential for humans to become the hegemon of the continent. Let's take another example: the sky. Humans yearned for the sky, hoping to fly freely in the sky like birds. At the same time, they also revere it, finding it mysterious and unfathomable. Such reverence is ingrained in our blood, and every human holds this mindset, be it obvious or not. On the flying vessel, Lu Yang stood up in excitement as he reached a climax. He gestured with his hands as he subjected Tao Yaoye to his speech that knew no boundaries. Calmly pondering for a bit, Tao Yaoye interrupted Lu Yang's discourse. "So is this the reason for your fear of heights?" "Yes." Tao Yaoye didn't know what to say to that. The two sat inside the cabin of the flying vessel as it flew through the clouds. There was a balancing array mass-produced by an array master at the bottom, so passengers wouldn't feel a single thing even when traversing tempests and rainstorms. The weather was clear, perfect for basking in the sun and enjoying the scenery while sitting in a meditative position on the deck. Tao Yaoye had suggested that the two of them go out to the deck, but Lu Yang had adamantly refused. Tao Yaoye was more curious than the average person. After pressing for answers repeatedly, Lu Yang had no choice but to explain his fear of heights by starting from ancient times and citing various classics with conviction to prove that a fear of heights was a reasonable and age-old mentality. To speak about it more broadly, it could even contribute to human progress. Fortunately, Tao Yaoye didn't believe a single word of it. "Senior brother Lu, I remember that you have a sword spirit root?" Tao Yaoye glanced at the ancient-looking sword hung at Lu Yang's waist and the old calluses on his palms. Achieving all this in just a year is enough to show how diligent he has been in practicing his sword. Lu Yang nodded, humbly admitting, "I'm barely considered a sword cultivator." Cultivators were divided into various categories according to what they specialized in. Some included pill cultivators, talisman cultivators, array cultivators, physique cultivators, and sword cultivators. Among them, sword cultivators had the strongest attack power. At the same cultivation stage, no one would want to have a sword cultivator as their opponent. Sword cultivators were most renowned for one sword breaks all spells. No matter how powerful the opponent's powers were, the sword cultivator could slice through it with a single strike. Opposite of sword cultivators were Taoist cultivators. No matter how powerful the opponent's sword technique was, the Taoist cultivator could counter them with all spells break one sword. Apart from one sword breaks all spells, there were other famous moves such as sword opens heaven's gate and flying sword. One could imagine how heroic they would appear as they stepped on their flying swords and braved the wind and waves while clad in snow white. What did cultivators seek? Strength and style. Sword cultivators fit these two criteria perfectly. Countless cultivators aspired to become a sword cultivator, but they were unfortunately limited by their lack of sword cultivation talent. So, Senior brother Lu, what are you going to do after learning how to fly with swords? Tao Yaoye had never heard of a sword cultivator with a fear of heights. Others cultivate to soar through the skies and become carefree, but I'm afraid Senior brother Lu won't be able to enjoy that. Lu Yang answered in a proper manner. Sword immortals don't have to be synonymous with soaring through the skies. Have you heard of earthly sword immortal, junior sister Tao Yaoye? Tao Yaoye was taken aback. Seeing how serious Lu Yang was and finding the term earthly immortal very familiar, she went along and nodded. Who said that immortals must be high up? The word immortal contains the word mortal. Immortals are in the sky while mortals are on land. Together, immortals traverse both the sky and land freely, as high up as the moon and stars and as deep as the abyss. The term earthly sword immortal illustrates that sword immortals are not only in the skies, they can also walk the earth. When their sword flies out, they can slay demons and devils from 1,000 li away. My goal is to become an earthly sword immortal. Tao Yaoye was just about to follow along and nod when the cool-headedness she had trained over the years stopped her and let her realize the crux of the problem. Hold on. I've only heard of earthly sword gods. Where did the term earthly sword immortals come from? Lu Yong stared at Tao Yaoye for 3 seconds, as if ancient secrets lay hidden within him. Then he slowly let out, "I made that up." His attitude was so sincere that Tao Yaoye was rendered speechless. She chose to not dwell on his topic any longer. With only 3 days of interaction, her image of senior brother Lu had completely crumbled. During the first round of the trials, she had personally witnessed the announcement of Lu Yang's sword spirit root. At that time, her image of Lu Yang was that of an unyielding and upright sword capable of splitting the heavens. Despite not being a man of many words, he was staunch and unwavering no matter the obstacles. After the second round ended and she heard of Lu Yang's unique method of passing, she felt that sword cultivators were quick and flexible with their minds, and she believed that Lu Yang would likely achieve even greater heights in the future. By the third round of the trials, she had been so exhausted on Heart-Seeking Mountain that she could barely open her eyes. Just when she thought that it was impossible for anyone to reach the 50th step, she saw Lu Yang accomplishing just that. Lu Yang's success had given her a tremendous boost in morale, motivating her to continue climbing up the mountain until she finally passed. Now, a year had passed, and the senior brother Lu she met again had a fear of heights and was extremely talkative. She finally understood the concept of distance creates beauty. Based on the timing, we should be disembarking from the boat soon. Lu Yang laid out a large map. Its drawings were very detailed, marking out places like the Dao-Seeking Sect, the Great Xia Dynasty's capital, well-known mountains and rivers, important cities, and even cave paradises. This was a map depicting 1/8 of the central continent. There was even a small red dot moving very slowly. If one didn't pay attention, they would have thought that the small red dot was stationary. This small red dot marked their current location. The map was not an ordinary one but an essential magical treasure for travel. Although the map was of superior quality, Taiping Village was still too small to be marked on the map. It was hard to have even Tsuha Commandery marked out. This flying vessel had set off from the Dao-Seeking Sect, then traveled to the Great Xia Dynasty's capital, journeying for tens and thousands of li considering the distance they had covered. Tsuha Commandery was insignificant in comparison and barely marked out with a name on the map. The flying vessel wouldn't stop at small places like Tsuha Commandery. If it were to stop at every single place, its speed would drastically reduce, and its effectiveness wouldn't be much better than a horse carriage. As such, it would only stop at major transportation hubs like the Dao-Seeking Sect, Qingyun City, Sky-Reaching Valley, Crouching Dragon Mountain, and the capital. Lu Yang had heard from Yun Zhi that they could directly jump off the boat should they wish to alight. That got his eyes twitching non-stop. The flying vessel was similar to airplanes from his past life, possessing high speeds and prioritizing efficiency. The greatest difference was that in his past life, passengers simply had to wait for the plane to touch down before disembarking. On the contrary, passengers in the cultivation world could leap off whenever they wanted, the epitome of freedom and openness. It was Lu Yang's first time jumping off, and he was overwhelmed with emotions, evident from his trembling legs. "We are 10,000 meters in the air. Senior brother Lu, do you know how to disembark?" "Of course." Lu Yang puffed out his chest, slightly proud. At this altitude, if one doesn't use proper techniques and falls straight down, even advanced Foundation establishment cultivators would turn into a pile of minced meat. Lu Yang had asked Yun Zhi how exactly he could disembark, but the latter had avoided his question, telling him that he should check the books or ask other people. He should figure out a way by himself and develop the good habit of independent thinking. After that, Lu Yang had successfully come up with a way to disembark, and he was prepared to do so. However, they weren't the only ones disembarking. There were around 7 to 8 other strangers. The pair stood at the edge of the deck with the other strangers in a line. The other strangers took out standard paper umbrellas. Tao Yaoye took out a meticulously crafted red paper umbrella. Lu Yong took out a parachute. Lu Yong felt that he didn't seem to fit in. Why is everyone else taking out something different from me? While Lu Yong was puzzled as to what they planned to do, an impatient middle-aged person in black leaped out of the flying vessel. The middle-aged person in black fell like a cannonball and didn't stop accelerating. He unhurriedly injected spirit energy into the paper umbrella. The light, thread-like spirit energy was like a nimble green snake that climbed up the handle of the umbrella and wrapped itself around the rib. It seemed as if the paper umbrella had come to life, awakening from its winter hibernation and stretching its body. The middle-aged person's descent slowed down, swaying gently as he landed safely. Letting go, the paper umbrella closed and turned into a ray of light. It darted through the sea of clouds before returning to the flying vessel. The paper umbrella didn't belong to the man. It was meant to be loaned to passengers of the flying vessel. The remaining strangers and Tao Yaoye turned to look at Lu Yong in succession, their eyes filled with bewilderment. We are all holding umbrellas to prepare for jumping off the boat. But why are you carrying a bag? Lu Yong appeared unflustered. Despite the confused gazes, he returned a brilliant smile, as if he wasn't the one out of place. In reality, it was a scene of violent storms and raging seas in his heart. He didn't even know where to start cursing. All his words condensed into one sentence. Big senior sister, you misled me. Lu Yang's understanding of the cultivation world was not holistic. Before entering the Dao-Seeking Sect, his main sources of information were from the storyteller. A year had passed since he joined the sect, and his knowledge of cultivation had improved at an astonishing rate, but none of the books he read stated how one could disembark from a flying vessel. Who would write such things in a book? When it came to daily life in the cultivation world, he was still far behind people like Tao Yaoye who had grown up in an ancestral cultivation clan. As for the flying vessel, the only thing he knew was that it was a property of the Luadi Merchant Guild. The method of disembarkment was jumping off, but he wasn't sure exactly how. Every year, the flying vessel could bring in enormous amounts of wealth, but this was an inconsequential business considering the entire merchant guild scale. They were the biggest merchant guild on the central continent, with a mysterious force behind them. Rare and precious treasures were countless as long as one had sufficient spirit stones. Even the Buddhist relics from the Buddhist kingdom, holy bones from the demon region, and immortal fruits which only existed in the legends could be bought. If anyone dared to owe the Luadi Merchant Guild or thought that they could be lucky enough to not get caught for stealing from the Merchant Guild, they should think twice, as numerous formidable cultivators had vanished without a trace before. Legend had it that there was a formidable cultivator called Thief King, who was well-versed in the Tao of space. Stealing other people's storage space was as effortless as taking something out from his own pocket. Distance was just a string of meaningless numbers to him. A single stride of his could pass mountains and rivers, traveling from the extreme west to the extreme north of the central continent. Even the belongings of transcendent tribulation experts were not spared from the Thief King. However, there was an unspoken rule within the stealing community: never steal from the Luadi Merchant Guild. Initially, the Thief King adhered to the ancestral rules for stealing and didn't engage in any interactions with the Luadi Merchant Guild. As his reputation grew, countless successful experts joined hands to hunt him down, but they couldn't locate him at all. This got to his head, and he began to feel that there wasn't much substance to the cultivation experts. Thinking that he himself had already surpassed the ancestors of thieves, he felt that there was no need for him to follow those rigid ancestral rules anymore. He arrogantly announced that he would be robbing the Luadi Merchant Guild's treasure tonight. Everyone thought that there were two possible outcomes. Either the Thief King stealthily stole the treasure with his mysterious Tao of space, or a conflict within the Merchant Guild broke out and the Thief King would have to battle the personage behind the Merchant Guild. Out of everyone's expectations, nothing happened that night. The Thief King never appeared again. Lu Yong only had to awkwardly hold on for a bit. When it was time to jump off the boat, The others didn't have spare time to continue staring at him. Everyone opened their umbrellas and leaped off one by one. Lu Yong and Tao Yaoya followed. High up in the sky, several people held on to their open umbrellas, appearing like small sesame seeds from a distance. Unlike the others, Lu Yong pulled the rope on his back. With a loud sound, the parachute opened, making Lu Yong stand out against the backdrop of the sky. Normally, Lu Yong would be very nervous at such high altitudes, but he didn't have the chance to think about it. It was too embarrassing. Fortunately, everyone was headed for different destinations. Only Lu Yong and Tao Yaoye were going to Taiping village. As soon as they arrived, they were warmly welcomed by the village chief, as if he had known about their arrival. "Master Immortals, you're finally here. The way you jumped off from the flying vessel was truly extraordinary." Lu Yong had his mouth open, but he ended up not asking why the village chief knew when they would arrive. "I'm Lu Yong, and she's Tao Yaoye. Both of us are disciples of the Dao-Seeking Sect." The description of the demon bird was not very detailed. "Please provide us with more information." The village chief had originally prepared a welcoming banquet to have some drinks and give them some local specialties before going into details about the demon bird. This was the usual protocol when requesting someone up there to help. He didn't expect Lu Yong and Tao Yaoye to be so swift and decisive and was pleasantly surprised, inwardly praising them. As expected of immortal sect disciples, Tao Yaoye sized up the village chief. Advanced Qi training cultivation. He didn't set his foundation well in his early years, so there are many impurities in his spirit power with no chance to reach the foundation establishment stage. He can be considered an ordinary cultivator. Speaking of the demon bird, the village chief became depressed. There were not many outsiders in Taiping village in the first place. Now that word of the demon bird had spread through the nearby areas, even traveling merchants weren't willing to come near. He had reported the situation to Tsuha Commandery, but they lacked manpower. Since the demon bird didn't harm anyone, they simply said to wait until they had the capacity to dispatch someone to Taiping village. 20 days had passed since. It began around 20 days ago. The tailor surnamed Feng ran out onto the streets shouting that a big, powerful man-eating demon had invaded his house. The villagers were frightened. A man-eating demon was not a small matter. "We only have roughly 30 cultivators here in Taiping village. Among them, my cultivation is the highest, and I am also the village chief, so Feng brought the villagers to look for me together. Before dealing with the demon, I had asked Feng, 'You said that the big demon eats people. Who has it eaten?' Demons that had eaten people were far more dangerous than those that had not. Humans were beings born intelligent, and demons who had consumed them were addicted to this taste. They would then eat a second human, a third one, becoming a scourge." Feng said he doesn't know who the big demon has eaten, but that demon can speak. It's definitely because it has eaten humans before. There were indeed rumors among the people that demons could speak human words and transform into human form after eating people. However, they were just unfounded tales. How could it be so easy for demons to cultivate? For a demon to speak human words, it must refine the bone in its throat, and that would take at least the advanced Qi training stage. Feng said that the demon was colorful. He initially thought that it was a bird that had gotten lost in the mountain forest. The demon bird had sat behind him and watched him sew clothes without moving. All of a sudden, it began speaking and gave Feng a scare, and he quickly ran out of the store. Feng couldn't provide any more useful information, so I asked them to wait from a distance while I secretly approached the place. That was when I saw the demon bird. The demon bird's feathers were brightly colored and lustrous, and around its eyes was a distinct red color. It was obvious at a glance that it wasn't an ordinary bird. How could an ordinary bird dare to look so ostentatious? The demon bird opened its mouth and asked me, "Who are you? Where is Zhang Guanjia?" His tone was quite urgent. I didn't understand. Zhang Guanjia is a cultivator in our village. He is at the level 3 Qi training stage and has an ordinary cultivation. Why would he have anything to do with a demonic beast? Back then, I tried my best to let myself relax and look like I was not a threat. Then, I politely asked, "Demon King, may I know why you are looking for Zhang Guanjia?" The demon bird didn't answer. It flapped its wings and left the tailor shop. Ever since then, the demon bird has been flying around Taiping village, eating grains from the fields and speaking human words. Although it doesn't eat people, how could normal humans not be scared? That is why everyone has been living in fear during this period of time. They are afraid that the demon bird will suddenly unleash its ferocious side and devour them all. Lu Yang asked, "Have you fought the demon bird? How strong is it?" The village chief shook his head. The demon bird is always in the sky, elusive and hard to track. Moreover, I can't see through the demon bird's cultivation, which means that its cultivation is at least my level 7 chi training. Since the demon bird doesn't have intentions of harming people now, I'm worried that I may accidentally make things worse and provoke it by fighting it. Lu Yang nodded. That's reasonable. Tao Yaoya asked, since the demon bird is looking for Zhang Guanjia, have you tried letting them meet? The village chief let out a long sigh. We don't need to let them meet. A few days ago, the demon bird went directly to Zhang Guanjia's house and shouted "Monster! Monster!" at him. Then, it flew out of the window and we don't know where it went afterward. Just when we were at a loss of what to do, Master Immortals, you both came. Tao Yaoya was pensive for a moment before guessing. Is Zhang Guanjia a demon? Perhaps the demon bird was warning you to be careful of Zhang Guanjia. There were also demons that were benevolent. They would sometimes transform into human form or reveal their true form to warn humans of calamities. The great demon king Zhuyan was one example. In folklore, wherever the Zhuyan went, it would signify serious turmoil. As such, the Zhuyan was seen as an ominous demon beast. After learning of the matter, the immortal sects had a completely different take. It was not the Zhuyan that had brought upon disaster. Instead, the Zhuyan had foreseen the chaos and specially traveled to the central continent from the demon region to inform the humans purely out of goodwill. Of course, the Zhuyan was partly to blame for the people's misunderstanding toward him. He had a phobia of people and dared not speak. His ferocious facial features also didn't help his cause. It was hard for people to believe that he was a benevolent demon beast. Maybe this demon bird is the same. It is here to inform the people of Taiping village that Zhang Guanjia is a shape-shifting great demon. The village chief was put on the spot. I don't want to refute this beautiful fairy-like immortal, but I also can't ignore the facts and say that Zhang Guanjia is a demon. Zhang Guanjia grew up in Taiping village. All the old people can attest to that. He also has two younger brothers, Zhang Guani and Zhang Guanbing. The three brothers are very close. He now runs a private school and teaches children Confucianism and cultivation. He's one of the few teachers here in Taiping village. To say that he is a demon, Tao Yaoya disagreed with the village chief. Demons have long lives. Many long-lived types will stay in a certain place for decades and let themselves age, blending in with humans. One day, when they've seen enough of the scenery, they'll feign their death and leave their graves. Then, they'll go to a new place and start anew. The village chief opened his mouth, but no words came out as he felt that he wasn't as knowledgeable as Tao Yaoya. Lu Yang shook his head, pointing out the loopholes in Tao Yaoya's speculation. If Zhang Guanjia were a demon, that would mean that he is a shape-shifting great demon. How could a demon like that tolerate a little demon bird running its mouth off? It would have been killed by Zhang Guanjia before it even had a chance to speak. Tao Yaoya didn't object. What Lu Yang said was indeed true. Lu Yang stood up. That said, we still have to meet with Zhang Guanjia. The village chief quickly led the way. This way, please, Master Immortals. On the way, Lu Yang corrected the village chief's way of address. All of us are cultivators with the goal of becoming an immortal. Although we are currently only at the foundation establishment stage, even venerable ones that are at the fusion and transcendent tribulation stages and are closest to becoming immortals are not qualified to be addressed as Master Immortals. You may address us as Taoists. The village chief smiled obsequiously. He didn't dare to treat Lu Yang and Tao Yaoya as ordinary foundation establishment cultivators. Not even 1 in 10 could ascend to the golden core stage, but that was for ordinary cultivators. The disciples of the Dao-Seeking Sect were sure to advance to the golden core stage. Their achievements in the future would be beyond his imagination. Isn't that because no one has ascended to an immortal? There are only legends. Lu Yong merely smiled and said nothing more. Soon, the three arrived at Zhang Guanjia's house. Old Zhang, you have visitors. Open the door. The door creaked slightly open, revealing the expressionless Zhang Guanjia standing behind. Let me introduce, these two are disciples of the Dao-Seeking Sect. They have come to help us eliminate the demon bird. Hearing the name Dao-Seeking Sect, there was finally a change in Zhang Guanjia's expression. He protested helplessly, I'm really not a demon. You can't simply believe whatever the demon bird says. It even shouted, Patron, come and play. Why don't you find a few patrons to play with the bird? The village chief smiled awkwardly. We're just touring around and happened to come by here. The village chief was recognized for being diligent in his work. He had already spoken this much, so Zhang Guanjia could only open the door and invite them in. Zhang Guanjia's house consisted of the standard rooms along with a gatehouse and courtyard. As he was the only one living inside, it appeared empty. He was past 40 and unmarried. Their conversation still revolved around the demon bird, so Zhang Guanjia was not in a good mood. I have never seen that demon bird before. Who the hell knows why it called my name? I've never left Taiping village my whole life. The furthest place I've ever been to is Tsuha Commandery. Where would I meet a demon bird? Every day, there will be students asking me, Teacher, are you a demon? There are even students afraid that I will eat them up, and they will finish their homework on time every day. Even a neighbor came looking for me, saying that he has an enemy at the foundation establishment stage in Tsuha Commandery. He asked whether I could secretly kill the other party and that the price could be negotiated. Zhang Guanjia shared his story through clenched teeth. He wished he could have a fight to the death with the demon bird just so that he could clear his name. I'm just an ordinary person, but just because the demon bird said so, I'm now suddenly a demon? That's totally unreasonable. After the discussion, the three still didn't obtain any useful information. They merely listened to Zhang Guanjia complain for 4 hours about how the demon bird had disrupted his life. Fortunately, Lu Yong and Tao Yaoya hurriedly expressed that they must exterminate the demon bird and return justice to Zhang Guanjia. Only then was he satisfied and stopped grumbling. The demon bird is here again. Someone outside the house yelled as they fled for their lives. Hearing the commotion, Lu Yong and Tao Yaoya immediately cast away their leisurely attitudes. Carrying their magical treasures, they left the house to confront the demon bird. Taoists, you must be careful. The village chief got the villagers to stay quiet and move to a place further away from where the demon bird was sighted. Lu Yong gripped the hilt of his sword. As soon as the demon bird had even the tiniest bit of intention to attack the people, it would be faced with a sudden cold glimmer and be sliced into half. Tao Yaoya took out her red paper umbrella. This was her life-bound magical treasure, the Thousand Illusions umbrella. Lu Yong cautiously gestured that he would scout ahead, and Tao Yaoya nodded. The demon bird was currently in a villager's house. Like a cat, Lu Yong made no noise as he moved up on his prey. He was on full alert, his muscles tensed as he prepared to pull out his sword for a battle any moment. The most optimistic outcome is that the demon bird is only at the level 7 Qi training stage. The worst-case scenario is that it turns out to be an advanced foundation establishment demon. Fighting it wouldn't be easy. Finally, he saw the demon bird that had plagued Taiping village for 20 days. Its dark green feathers were vibrant and lustrous. Spanning from the corner of its eyes to its neck were large patches of red. The combination of red and green made it especially striking. Lu Yong could tell the demon bird's origin at one glance. It had come from the depths of the woods. It fed on figs and berries. It was adept at mimicking human speech. This was a parrot. Reality had proven that speaking human words didn't necessarily mean they were demon beasts. They might just be parrots. How is this a demon bird? Lu Yong was furious. A suction power appeared in his palm, pulling the parrot over. It didn't even have time to react until it was caught. The village chief could also do the same, but he hadn't dared to because he thought that it was some kind of demon beast at the Qi training or foundation establishment stage. Demon beast. There's a demon beast. The parrot screeched non-stop. Hearing the commotion inside the room, Tao Yaoya hurriedly rushed over. Upon witnessing the actual situation, her mood wasn't that much different from Lu Yang's. Completing the mission is a good thing. Not having to fight is also a good thing. But the problem is that we came all the way from the Dao-Seeking Sect and rode the flying vessel for 3 days just to capture a parrot? How are we going to write the mission report? We'll only be laughingstock if word gets out. The people in Taiping village were not knowledgeable enough to recognize birds from the rainforest, but it was basic knowledge for everyone in the Dao-Seeking Sect. As expected of you, Taoists, you captured the demon bird so effortlessly. The village chief and other villagers praised Lu Yong one after another, lauding his high cultivation. The two of them had no choice but to patiently explain to the people that the bird was actually very ordinary. It was simply not common in the northern region of the continent. This parrot, also what all of you call a demon bird, is most proficient in mimicking human speech. Mimicking human speech, mimicking human speech. The parrot kept screeching until Lu Yong had to pinch its beak close before continuing to explain. It shouted that Zhang Guanjia is a demon not because it itself wanted to. Taylor Feng had shouted demon, and it learned from him. When it bumped into Zhang Guanjia, it simply repeated the term. Zhang Guanjia heaved a sigh of relief, as expected of the Dao-Seeking Sect's disciples. My grievances are cleared right after they arrived. By the same logic, when it shouted, "Who are you? Where is Zhang Guanjia?" It also didn't understand the meaning of the sentence. It had simply learned it from somewhere else and repeated it meaninglessly. This damned bird. Let me kill it. Zhang Guanjia couldn't contain his anger. Lu Yong raised his hand and stopped Zhang Guanjia. This place is half a continent away from the rainforest. This parrot definitely didn't fly here by itself but was instead brought here by someone. Unless someone was bored enough to cross half a continent just to bring this rare yet non-useful parrot, only the Luadi Merchant Guild would do such a thing. Is there a Luadi Merchant Guild in this area? The village chief shook his head. A merchant guild wouldn't set up a branch in a poor, remote, and small place like ours, but there is one in Tsuha Commandery. It is located in the most bustling region with an endless flow of traffic. Maybe after someone bought the parrot from the merchant guild, it accidentally escaped. It is naturally impossible for the parrot to have directly escaped from the Luadi Merchant Guild. Lu Yong pressed on. This bird has been circling around Taiping village for the past 20 days instead of heading somewhere else. Perhaps its owner is right here. What do you think, village chief? It took the village chief quite a while before replying. The villagers all know about the demon bird. If there is really anyone who doesn't know, it would be the Shang family to the east. The Shang family rarely goes out and is reluctant to interact with others. I heard that it's because the family head is also a cultivator. When he was young, he experienced some setbacks and his cultivation regressed tremendously. Since then, he has lost his will to cultivate and lives here reclusively. The Shang family is also quite wealthy. They are the richest in this place. It is possible for them to have bought the demon bird from the Luadi Merchant Guild. If that's the case, let's go and ask the Shang family. Taiping village wasn't huge, so the trio and one bird soon arrived at the Shang family's entrance. After knocking on the door, someone quickly came to open it for them. It was a middle-aged man with a mustache that stuck out on both ends, and he was dressed in scholarly robes. "Oh, it's you, village chief. May I know who these two are so that I can report to the patriarch?" the mustached man asked. Still pinching the parrot's wings, Lu Yong looked like he was preparing to slaughter a rooster while doing house visits during the new year. "We found this parrot by chance. After asking around, we thought that it may belong to the Shang family, so we have specially come to ask." The mustached man noticed Tao Yaoya first and was surprised. He had never seen a woman as beautiful as Tao Yaoya. Then he turned to the green parrot, showing an elated smile. "I see, many thanks to you two young heroes. This should be our young Miss Parrot. Ever since she lost her parrot, she has been in low spirits, which makes things difficult for us servants. She would be overjoyed if she learns that the parrot has been found." The village chief leaned in and whispered, "He's the Shang family steward and his surname is Zhang. He's always the one opening the door when I come to the Shang family. Steward Zhang hastily went inside to report, and he soon came back with a response. The patriarch invites you three inside. They entered through the screen door, passed through the outer courtyard, and walked from the secondary door to the corridor, then finally the main room. Only then did they see the Shang family's head. The Shang family's head had a plump physique, though his gloomy expression kept others at a distance. However, they could still tell that he was rather happy to see the village chief. Old brother Huang, long time no see. The village chief's surname was Huang. The two cupped their fists and greeted each other. Family head Shang examined the parrot for a bit and nodded. This is indeed the parrot my daughter bought from the Luadi Merchant Guild in the commandery. At that time, I thought that this bird wouldn't be worth much, yet the Merchant Guild demanded an exorbitant price. My daughter insisted on buying it, so I could only follow her wishes. Steward Zhang, take these two young heroes to see Xiaoyuan. Yes, Patriarch. Steward Zhang gestured for them to proceed and called a maidservant to serve tea to family head Shang and village chief Huang. On the way, Tao Yaoye casually asked, Steward Zhang, how long have you been with the Shang family? Steward Zhang replied in a respectful tone. The patriarch saved me when he was on his way to seclusion. Ever since then, I have been serving him. Let me think, it has been 20 years now. Young Miss wasn't even born then. That means that young Miss Shang has a rather good relationship with you. To be honest, I watched young Miss grow up. I have no children, so I treated her as my own daughter. It pains me to see her so dejected every day. Lu Yang suddenly asked, Were you around when the parrot went missing? Steward Zhang sighed, his voice laced with reproach. At the time, I got distracted for a bit and didn't notice the parrot flying away. If only I had paid more attention then, young Miss wouldn't be so sad now. It was a dereliction of duty on my part. Lu Yang simply replied, Oh. Steward Zhang knocked 3 times and calmly said, Young Miss, your missing parrot has been found by 2 young heroes wandering the Jianghu. They have brought the parrot here. A voice answered from within the room. Let them in then. Understood. Lu Yang and Tao Yaoye opened the door. Young Miss Shang was leaning against the window while reading a book quietly. The evening sunlight fell on her hair, painting a picturesque scene where time seemed to have come to a stop. Countless young men in Taiping village were infatuated with young Miss Shang. Lu Yang reminded kindly, reading under the sunlight, especially at sunset, is bad for your eyes. You should light a candle. It's not like your father is short of money. Thanks for watching the video all the way to this point. If you enjoyed the story and want to see what happens next, leave a comment so I know you're liking it, and I'll bring you the continuation.